Are you ready? 20 seconds start now. Ten seconds remaining. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Time's up.
All right, guys. Thank you all for being on with us here at Lights Out Sports Podcast. We've got a ton of people already on with us. Thank you all for that. We appreciate it. And we haven't even got to our special guest yet that we'll start the show off with. Jimmy, I can see him off stage. He is raring and ready to come on. We will get to him in just a moment. But today, we are going to be with you until the trade deadline is over. That's right. We're going to be with you all afternoon, all evening, all morning, wherever you are in the world. Watch us right here on the Lights Out Sports Podcast, and we're going to bring you all of the great action from MLB and their trade deadline. There's already been a ton of moves. We'll talk about several of those here in just a little bit. But first, I want to bring on our special guest. Ladies and gentlemen, he is truly special. We've tried to have him on 2 or 3 times already. That's how special he is, because we keep making sure that he is going to get on here. And today is the day, ladies and gentlemen. So let's give him his proper introduction. All right, guys. Jimmy is one half of the newest podcast, The Far End of the Bench, that has recently been added to our growing roster here at All Gloves Off Sports Media. We're glad to have him with us as a guest. You guys can follow him, and we'll talk about him and his co-host, the perspectives they bring from the Denver market. And ladies and gentlemen, here he is. Jimmy, what's going on, buddy?
Oh, it's good to be here. I'm glad that we were able to make this work out. I know we have everything else going on outside of this, coaching, practice schedules. We had a time zone snafu, which is how things go, but I'm excited.
That was me.
Yeah, well, it is strange because like we were talking about, Arizona for half the year, just like Colorado on Mountain Time. For the other half of the year, you guys don't change. We got bullied by the rest of the country. We changed our clocks, and we no longer have the same time zone. So now we figured that out. But this is good because at the time, the Rockies were kind of a point of conversation. I'd say they're more so now. They made a couple moves today, but Nico and I have talked about it on our show for a few years. It's difficult to say anything about them other than who are they going to get rid of and how are they going to move things forward into the next iteration of, oh, this team could get really close. We can be almost right there. So it has been a while since I've talked in depth about baseball on a podcast, so I'm excited about that.
All right, fantastic, buddy. I can't wait to get this thing going as well, man. We are going to kick it off right now. I'm going to ask you some questions here, just kind of generalized stuff for you here. First, Jimmy, how did you come up with the name Far End of the Bench, buddy?
Well, so Nico and I, my co-host, we met in 6th grade playing football, went to school throughout middle school together. We would always have these really good sports debates. And we said at some point he's going to be an agent. He'll have a media company and he'll need somebody to run the broadcasting side of things. So we had that kind of like, I'd say it was more of a childhood fantasy. And then I went to school and did some radio broadcasting and COVID happened. So I wanted to start a podcast. He was like, we've already had this idea. We sat down in his apartment and we came up with just brought a list of names, and it was some were good, some weren't as good as we wanted them to. We were like, hey, you know what? We were pretty good. We played when we were playing together. We were never really on the bench, but now we're kind of past our prime. We're hanging things up. We're on the backside of our career. And when you're on the backside of the career, what do you do a lot of? Well, you sit there and you talk crap from the far end of the bench. So we might as well use that as our branding. It's worked out because we've been able to, all these years later, we have the bench warmers that listen to our show. We are very, we got lucky because things kind of just fell together, and everybody, once we kind of explained where things came from and when they heard it the first time, it was like, wow, that kind of rolled off the tongue. So I think that's probably what we're going to stick with. And it's been successful up until this point. And now we're happy to be on All Gloves Off and taking another step. We've said, it's always an evolution and it takes a long time. But we said that we were going to commit to doing this. I don't know if Nico knew 7 years later we would still be grinding and trying to find the next opportunity. But hey, we hopped over and we've had a really good time so far. And we're very excited to be here and bringing all of those perspectives from the far end of the bench. Maybe it's a little bit of a play on we feel like Colorado's disrespected. I know that the Broncos are good, but we get lumped in with all of the West Coast and, oh, you guys don't wake up and this and that. Colorado loves their sports. Denver is a crazy sports media market. We have, I think, 2 sports stations, ESPN affiliates, Altitude Radio affiliates that are on daily, constantly. We have DNVR that got started out here. So there's a pretty big sports media influence in Denver, more so than people would anticipate.
All right. And, man, we have got a ton of people with us right at the moment, well over 200 with us right now live, and we appreciate all of you being with us right now. For those of you who have not been here before, you can jump on with us. You can comment. Just click that button and leave your comment. And as long as you want to talk about what we're talking about, we'll include you at the bottom of the screen here. So, don't start talking about crazy stuff. But as long as you're talking about Colorado Rockies, let's do it. All right. So let's start in with the Colorado Rockies. And by the way, I want to say this too. You said that you guys were lucky. I think that we're lucky. And when I mean we, I mean us right here at All Gloves Off Sports Media. We feel very lucky to have the far end of the bench on with us. Now we have 10 different podcasts that we've got in our group, and we're adding some more hopefully here in the next week or two. I'm going to be having some meetings, and we're going to look through and have some Skype stuff, and just like we did with you guys, and hopefully this roster will continue to grow. So we're glad that you are on board with us, Jimmy. Last year, the Colorado Rockies went into the All-Star break with a 22-74 record, the most losses at the All-Star break in MLB history. Now, this season, I know it's a few weeks past from the All-Star break, but that's kind of the dividing line, and that's what we'll use right at the moment. This season, the team did show improvement. Instead of going 22-74, they went 39-59. So I'm going to give you some choices here, Jim. Would you call it a good start, not enough, or something to build on?
Out of those 3, I would say that it's something to build on, and it's not. The winning more games is nice, and not having the worst record in all time, because they've played baseball for a long time, right? So having the worst record in all of baseball is probably not a title that you want to hold on to. But it's not just the fact that they're winning more games, but last year in those losses, if the sports radio station brought it up quite a bit, it's the Cleveland Spiders. That was the team that was just as bad as the Rockies way back when in the 1800s, and they were doing things that nobody had done since the Cleveland Spiders in games, like 3 errors in a play. Ball gets batted around 4 different times in the outfield. You have a guy hit a 3-run inside the park home run at Denver in altitude. Like, that shouldn't be happening. Our park's not that big. You'd think that we were playing out in the Polo Grounds or something like that. The way that the games have looked this year, I am encouraged by. The issues are what they've always been. The pitching rotation is not strong. It got a little bit weaker with the moves that they're being made. And I would say that the pipeline's not that deep. Like, that's been the issue for Colorado ever since they were established as a franchise, and it's still going to be the issue. We can be as competitive as we want to be, but I don't know how many video games you play, but I play MLB The Show, and there are certain times where I'm like, okay, we're up by 3 runs, and by the next inning we come back and it's tied. And I don't know how that happened, because the pitcher just can't keep the ball in the yard, can't get through the lineup more than maybe 2 times. Like right now, the pitching staff, I would say if you get through the lineup 2.5 times, that's a pretty successful outing for the Colorado Rockies, which is not good for a professional baseball team. You should be able to get to 7 innings and be fairly comfortable. You give up a few runs here and there. Everybody knows how to hit and use launch angles, but the pitching rotation, I think, is still what holds it back. It's something to build on. If that can get better, I'm all for it. I just don't know. I don't see a solution, because it's been since 1993 and there hasn't been a solution.
Now, you said there are ballparks not that big. Jimmy, I've been to Coors Field once, I didn't get to stay the entire time. My wife has asthma. We didn't realize it was going to be that bad. The woman could barely talk by the fourth inning, so we ended up having to get up and leave. And the shirt that I have on, I got from that game back when you had a really good guy named I don't know starts with a D. What was his last name forever? Then he went to the Yankees and
DJ LeMahieu.
Yeah, there you go. DJ LeMahieu. That does not start with a D. I guess DJ does, but yes. Okay. But I went there, got this shirt, loved the time that I had there. But I tell you, the big thing that I walked away from Coors Field, besides the altitude, was how huge the outfield is out there at Coors Field. Your outfield looked like everybody else's complete diamond. Do you not get that? Do you not see that? Is it just because you've been there for so long, or how do you think that's viewed around baseball?
So physical size wise, there's a lot of space. I will say that the angles are pretty even. So having seen people play in outfields where the walls curve, and I think about the Green Monster, and you have that short porch with the high fence, or Yankee Stadium where you have these parts of the ballpark that the ball's going to fly. Well, in Denver, the ball flies no matter where you hit it. So I think that they gave the extra space, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the field is going to be that much bigger, because you assume really good MLB hitters are probably adding 50 to 75 feet of power just by the sea level difference that they normally play from. Because it's youth baseball, so I don't know why I'm using any examples. Just I've hit in Colorado, and I've gone down, and I've even hit in Arizona. And Arizona's not sea level by any stretch, but it was 2,000 or 3,000 feet different elevation. And there's a big difference on how far the ball goes. That would have been out by 40 feet in Colorado that barely made it to the warning track in these other places. So yes, the dimensions itself are pretty big. And the other thing that I will say, because as much as I can dig on the Rockies, their ballpark is beautiful. And everybody loves to go there, and there's plenty of space. Like, it's not like you're sitting on top of anybody and you can go be in the rock pile. You can be in the shaded areas. There's pretty good views all the way around. It's just the outside. It's like it's built for the opposing fan. It's built so that you can see everything. The ball's going to fly all around. There's a ton of space for it to land if it does. And it's a hitter's ballpark. It's always been a hitter's ballpark, not just because of the elevation, but the way that they've kind of it's very, I would say, like right angles all around. It's not that difficult. You don't really have that many tricks to play at Coors Field.
Okay. And I certainly agree with that. Like I said, I was there. It's a beautiful, you said it correctly, man. It's a beautiful ballpark. I sat out there right above where all the trees and stuff are, in that small bleacher area there above all of that. That was great. Ended up walking around a little bit, not a lot, because of the fact that my wife really couldn't breathe. So we ended up leaving out of there pretty quick. But man, I really enjoyed it, and I want to come back. One of these days, we're going to sit somewhere, all of us together, right? We're all going to sit somewhere and do a live show from right there in Coors Field. That'll be fantastic, man.
If we bring revenue, I'm sure Monfort will be all for it. He's all about the revenue. That's why we have a rooftop bar in left field. We took away our left field bleachers and just put a brewery, because it's Colorado. Everybody likes their IPAs. And that's the talk about elevation change. When you go that high in these stadiums, even me, I've sat at the top of Invesco Field it's called Empower Field now, but I've sat at the top of the Broncos Stadium. You go up to the top in Ball Arena, those rock pile seats and the rooftop bar in Coors Field, it's very tall. You're touching the sun, it feels like.
Wow, that'd be kind of neat, I think, though, man. That might be where we end up doing that from. So before we jump into too much of the actual history of the Colorado Rockies and what we're kind of looking for, we'll dabble back and forth into some different things, but I want to look at the two trades that they've made so far. I know one of them involved Seth Halverson. Tell me where he went, and tell me a little bit about Seth Halverson.
So Seth Halverson is one of the bullpen arms that they were excited about. I use media references all the time, so I said he's Ricky Vaughn. He's Nuke Lelouch from Bull Durham. He's a guy that will throw it 1,000,000 miles an hour, but you got to worry about the mascot behind the plate. You got to worry about the press box. It's going to be all over the place. If it's on, he can go 2-hit shutout. He was a reliever, so he's left a little bit to be desired. And I think it's not that great to be a power pitcher here, because he's supplying a lot of that velocity. So the over 4 ERA that you see from him in his relief efforts, that's more of he's just putting the ball in bad positions because he can't really pinpoint. He's not a paint the corners kind of guy. I'm going to try and throw this as fast as I can by you. And he's not Jacob Mizorowski or Tarek Skubal who can do that consistently. He can get a few, and there's going to be a few that look really nice, but it's so inconsistent. It's very up and down. I think that he's actually going to benefit quite a bit from going to California because the Dodgers Stadium it's a little bit different now, but that's going to help him out with his velocity. If he can keep the ball low, just put the ball on the ground. That's what I think is misconstruing about these guys that throw so hard. Just throw it hard and hit low. They've started to move up into the strike zone and try and throw these elevated 104 mile an hour fastballs. If I pound 104 mile an hour fastball into the ground, it might bounce, but you have a much better chance of at least keeping that in the ballpark than missing high.
Yes, but a lot of these high velocity stuff that basically, you like to use sports references. I'll use one too, that climb the ladder, right? You started off at the letters, they foul that back, and then you go a couple inches higher, and then a couple inches higher, and you're hoping that the guy with the bat in his hand just simply can't lay off of it, and he keeps swinging it. And even if you get him to foul off 2 high pitches, then you drop a breaking ball or something low and make him swing over the top of it, and there's your strikeout. So that's kind of the philosophy there, but I understand yours too, especially in Colorado, right? You don't necessarily have to hit it square when it's 105 mile an hour, at the top of the zone. You can crank that thing out by getting it off the end of the bat almost, right?
It's crazy too because he's throwing consistently 97, but that's not as impressive as it used to be because of the different arms that we're seeing and the different guys that even relievers, since they do a shorter amount of work, they're more likely to just throw as hard as they can every single pitch. And as much as his fastball is really good, he doesn't have a breaking ball really to back it up like you would like to see. And when he throws and tries to go up the ladder, it's almost like he tries to throw high and it actually sinks on top of him. So he ends up hitting the top of the strike zone when he's trying to hit a little bit up so that he can set up something maybe in the dirt or low and away. And if you pitch in Colorado, do not leave anything on the inside of the plate. Even if it's really high, as long as they can turn on it, those things will fly. It's not so much an opposite field issue, but both left-handed and right-handed hitters, if it's over the inside of the plate, that thing will get pinballed around.
All right. Now, Jimmy, it must be you, buddy, because now we're up over 250 people live right now with us on the Lights Out Sports Podcast. This is our trade deadline special. We appreciate everybody jumping on board with us, and we encourage you. We've got a comment over here. Look at it and make sure it's not. Oh, here we go. Cheese is throwing stuff at me already. So Dustin May and JoJo Romero to the Brewers. That must have just happened because that didn't happen before we came on the air. So that's going to be Cheese's job in this entire thing, as we've kind of gone amongst ourselves, like, what are we each going to do? And I'm going to talk to Jim. We're going to talk to a bunch of other people, hopefully, and we're going to get some great perspectives. And Cheese's job at Football with Cheese, of course, is going to be throw the breaking news at me, and we'll talk about that, kind of spill that all in as everything gets together. But you guys that are listening to us right now can actually come on and can be part of the show too. Just simply leave your comments like Cheese did, and we'll talk to everybody. There was a second trade that was made today, Jim. It was Brenton Doyle, and he was traded for Mason Adams and Carlos Velma. I'll tell you about Adams and Velma. You, sir, tell us about Doyle. What does Chicago White Sox get?
They got somebody that we talked about the space in the outfield. Doyle playing center field in Coors Field. He's very quick, plays the alleys like you want to see a very aggressive center fielder do that. He's a multiple-time Gold Glove winner. He plays defense the right way, and now he's going to be moving to a spot where he's going to have not as much I'm not as big of a White Sox person, but I do know that he probably felt a lot of what was going on here prior to his tenure, because that Jeff Bridich, end of the Jeff Bridich era, I feel like it kind of tanked all of the player personnel and all of the player relationships throughout the franchise. He's now shown signs of being more injury prone, and we don't have to talk about the other guy that was brought in at that era that's also injury prone, but I just feel like
we'll talk about him here in a little bit.
Yeah, that's one of the worst contracts that I've ever seen in my lifetime. Doyle will be solid. He's not going to change the world, I don't think. I don't think that he's somebody that comes into your team and makes you an elite October contender. But if he's right, if he's healthy, he patrols center field like you want to see, and he can be a leader from the outfield and maybe possibly bring in some young guys if they have them for that outfield set, because Doyle is there and he's done it at the professional level. He can be your leader if he has a little bit around him. He just doesn't have very much out here in Colorado.
All right, so the first guy they traded for, Mason Adams, he is a right-handed pitcher. Let me get a little bit of stuff on him here. Right-hander that throws right. He's actually 26 years old, 26 and 121 days, from Davenport, Iowa. He was selected in the 13th round of the 2022 Major League Baseball amateur draft out of Jackson University in Jackson, Florida. So he's there. You've got him. He's been in the minors for a little bit here. Let me give you a little bit of stats on his AAA minor league numbers. He was 3-3, 4.75 ERA, 14 games. He started 12 of them. 53 innings pitched was all. 50 hits, 30 runs. Only 28 of them were earned. He gave up 4 runs. He walked 26 and struck out 45. So kind of like what you said, Brenton Doyle is not going to change the world. He's not going to light anything up on fire. And I think that's kind of the same thing for this guy, Mason Adams, one of the 2 guys that they traded for. Is he a prospect? Absolutely. Could he maybe do something for the team? Possibly. You never know. But he seems to be a little bit more of a ground ball pitcher, and that's what they need in Colorado, right? More of a ground ball pitcher?
Yeah, and I've also seen he's recovering from Tommy John surgery, so yes. I think that's probably where that Doyle comparison, since they both have had some health issues over the last few years, it made a little bit more sense value-wise. It sometimes makes you a better pitcher, because now you can't rely on that natural arm talent that you had. You have to learn how to be more of a smart pitcher, and nobody's going to be as good as Greg Maddux, but that's kind of where you have to be. You have to think through the game, and if he's able to continue to get guys to hit the ball in the dirt, I could see him being consistent. That's all I'm looking for, is really consistency out of the pitching that we get, whether it's the bullpen or the starting rotation. I don't need to see – I've seen Kyle Freeland go out there and go 7, and I've seen him go out there and go 2 1/3. It's very rarely is it somewhere in between. So consistency is what I'm looking for, and hopefully he's able to recover from that Tommy John issue that he had.
All right, so the second guy, Jimmy, is Carlos Vilma. I believe that's how you say it. It might be Vielma. It's Vielma. He plays third, second, and first. So he's one of those utility infielder guys. He's a left-handed batter, but throws right-handed from the Chicago White Sox minor league system. He is actually only 16 years old, and he's currently playing in the Dominican Summer League. And let me give you his stats in 34 games from the Dominican Summer League. We should get our guys from the Minor League Monday show on here. They probably know a lot more about this guy than either you or I do. But so far, he has in 34 games, 134 plate appearances. He's got 27 runs, 32 hits, 6 doubles, 2 triples, a home run, 21 RBIs, a stolen base. He's walked, you ready? He's walked 32 times and only struck out 16. So that gives him a 337 batting average and a 508 on base plus slugging percentage. So again, one of those guys who we don't even know what this guy is going to be yet. I mean, we really don't, Jim. How do you feel about Colorado getting a guy who seems to have a high ceiling, but it's a rookie level high ceiling?
It's I think that lines up a little bit more with their plan for Ethan Holiday, because that's more of as much conversation has been around other guys like Goodman in the organization. Holiday is the next wave of when this team could possibly be good. So you get a 16-year-old in. I believe Ethan Holiday is somewhere around 19 or 20, also in the minor league system. It's going to pay off, but it's going to be a long time before it's going to pay off. I feel like I'm going to be an old man by the time we actually see this guy in the prime of his career. It's something. It's a lottery ticket. And I know people like scratchers, and I'm sure people love stopping at the gas stations and playing the lottery. I'd rather invest money or, not take such a big swing. But maybe that's just the jaded fan in me. I'm nervous about them taking swings and trying to say this guy is going to pay off, because everybody that I've tried to put faith in with this team, either they never get as far as I want them to, like Todd Helton or Matt Holliday, where he leaves, Nolan Arenado when he leaves. the last guy that I was sold on was Chris Bryant. So if they're going to try and sell me on this guy, I'm leery of what they're going to be pitching.
All right. So you said the last guy you were sold on was Chris Bryant. We'll get to him in a moment. Let me make sure that everybody realizes that there's been another trade. The Cubs have acquired Braxton Garrett from the Marlins for 2 AAA guys. So Cheese will be on here in a little bit. We will talk Braves because they've made some moves. We'll talk Cubs because they've made some moves, including this one. So Braxton Garrett from the Marlins to the Chicago Cubs. Yeah, let's talk about Chris Bryant for a moment, even though you might not really want to. Let's do it for a second. So in 2022, Chris Bryant signed a 7-year, $182 million contract that was negotiated by the evil empire that is Scott Boras. He had the rest of this season, and he's got 2 additional full seasons, each of $26 million. I got some questions about Chris Bryant and his contract, Jim. How much does this damage the Rockies financially from competing with him not contributing whatsoever?
It hurt them a lot more the last few years than it is going to continue to hurt them in the future. So the ownership situation changed. The Welton Penner Group bought into a majority of the ownership, 40%. And that money that they gave for the 40% ownership was able to give the Rockies the ability to clear their books. So they have no more outstanding debt. They're no longer wondering how they're going to pay Chris Bryant the rest of his money. I just don't understand it because Jeff Bridich was the GM, and he was the one that had all those issues with Arenado and kind of made that relationship sour and forced Arenado his idea that he was going to get traded to St. Louis and go be the Hall of Fame player that he was never going to be able to reach here. Bringing in Chris Bryant was supposed to replace him, but you cannot give money for reputation when you're in a business like this. You can't just assume that he was on this Cubs team that had a magical run and won a World Series. He's not just going to come in and do that for you because you didn't bring anybody else in around him. You had an aging Charlie Blackmon at that time. You got rid of DJ LeMahieu. You got rid of Trevor Story. You got rid of that infield that was so great and so revered for so long. It just had no business being done, and there was no way that this was going to go any other direction. Now, did I think that he was going to have most of his career from the Rockies taken by bad 5-star hotel room beds? That was not on my bingo card. And we need to really start making sure these guys stay in 6- and 7-star resorts. Those 5-star resorts are cheap. I've stayed in some hotels, and I'm like, I've been able to stay at a Motel 6 and be able to go and perform and do whatever I needed to do. You're getting paid millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars for doing nothing because you slept on a bad bed at the Waldorf Astoria. Yeah. It's just bad.
You're right. It's a bad look. It's a little strange. You and I would wonder about it. All the above, right? So, Jim, I want to go a little further here. It's rumored that the Rockies have asked Bryant's camp to restructure the remaining roughly $78 million, kind of over a longer stretch of time that would help the team financially, which the Boras-led client has refused to do. From the Rockies' standpoint, do you like the idea of stretching it out to maybe 5 or 6 years of that $78 million, or would you rather just pay it off in the next 2 and be done?
I don't think that they're in a position to be able to just pay it off. That's why he's going to continue to be on the disabled list for however many games. He'll meet some sort of quota for the rest of his remaining contract until it's a little bit less. They just don't have the financial backing at this point to be able to. I don't want him around any longer. He obviously doesn't want to be around here any longer than he has to be. He wants to make his money that he was promised and is contractually obligated to receive. So you just kind of got to continue to ride this thing out. I would much rather just not talk about him because of significance. There's nothing of significance that he's done as a Colorado Rocky besides just not play. And I don't know if he was a Hall of Famer before, but he's totally tarnished whatever legacy that he had as a baseball player. I mean, if I'm in Chicago, if you're in Chicago and you can honestly tell me right now that Chris Bryant is still somebody that you're excited when he runs out onto a baseball diamond, I'm going to need to check. Like, we need to have a urine test. Need to check what you're taking, and maybe I need to get me some of that because I'm so beyond frustrated with the Chris Bryant situation. And it's worse too, because everybody says that, oh, well, you wanted it. You guys wanted it. Nobody asked for Chris Bryant. We all wanted to keep Nolan Arenado, Trevor Story, and DJ LeMahieu, and that organization refused to do it. And then they tried to waive this guy that won a World Series in front of us, and most people fell for it. And most people continue to fall for this con that is the Colorado Rockies. Like I said, since 1993, we have never won a division. The only time we made it to a World Series, we had to play in a game 163 against, I believe it was San Diego, to make the postseason, and then went on an incredible wild card run through a few teams and got absolutely crushed by Boston in the World Series. So, like I said, this franchise has nothing to stand on. Why we thought that was going to be a good idea just makes absolutely no sense.
So we've talked about Chris Bryant here for a little bit. I know you probably don't want to. I got two more questions, and we'll jump off the Bryant train here. But I want to give you a word. You haven't mentioned it yet. You've kind of sort of said that you don't like what happened. You kind of blame some of it, it seems, on the Rockies management itself and some of the front office personnel. But here's the word I want to throw at you, and the word is resentment. Do you actually have resentment toward Chris Bryant?
I have resentment at the idea that like he said when he came in, he was going to come in and play as hard as he could and try and show these young guys. Like when he was coming in, Ezekiel Tovar was a very young player that was highly touted as a prospect, but hadn't actually made any steps to be a consistent MLB player. He came in and made these promises of bringing his experience and his level of play, and then he just quit. Like he just quit. I don't believe there is that bad of a back injury that he can't play in more than he doesn't need to play a full season because he's old. But I remember seeing Todd Helton hobble from first base back to the dugout. He had to play first base because they didn't want him to jog that far in the field because they were worried about his knees and his ankles and everything going out on him. There is a level of respect that you owe to the game that is paying you and paying your family for generations to come. I'm not sitting here saying that he's totally 100% at fault. Maybe he thought he was going to be in a different situation and it just ended up not working out. But from what he said, there is some resentment towards him. It's mainly resentment towards the franchise and the ownership. I have not liked the Monforts ever since they bought in as minority owners and continued to do what they've done. They would be a much better at owning one of these ski resorts out here in Colorado. Give them Vail, give them one of these small mountain towns, and they can build up a beautiful facility and everybody will go there and spend bundles and bundles of money. You do not do that with a sports franchise that's located in the center of downtown that we all have to drive past every single day and just look over and shake our head because it's just such an embarrassment. It's so bad that nobody can actually stand to, we're all ironically Rockies fans. We love the 2007 Rocktober season, but that's literally all we have to fall back on, and it's gone so far. That's now an ironic thing that we have to say. Oh, remember Rocktober? Yeah, I do remember it. I was in elementary school going into middle school. That's how long ago this was.
Let me give you a what-if scenario as we end our Chris Bryant conversation here with Jimmy from far end of the bench. Instead of prospects back, what if the Rockies trade Hunter Goodman to the Yankees, and what the Yankees give them back is, we'll take Chris Bryant and that terrible contract off your hands. All we want is Hunter Goodman. Do you make that trade?
We've been having that conversation of what it would take for us to get rid of Hunter Goodman, and I've been of the stance that I don't want to get rid of the good players. I would like to have players like a Todd Helton. I'm maybe a little bit old school, but I love the one idea of a one jersey guy. When they have proven and gone through your system and you give them the respect of making sure that they're always on your team and taking care of them. If it were to get us out of that absolute anchor that is Chris Bryant, I would be more considering of it, especially because of the other guy that I brought up. If we don't have Hunter Goodman, I can sit here and resign myself to the fact that in a few years we'll have Ethan Holiday. He has the family connection to the team, and hopefully we can maybe put something else together in a different era. But if you get rid of Hunter Goodman, you are truly – it would be like you're punting on third down. It's 3rd and 17. I know that it doesn't look good right now, but we can still maybe get something back and make this a little bit more respectable. If you get rid of Hunter Goodman, you are just going to be – the level of mediocrity is going to, I believe, go down, and it'll be years until we are able to write the playback, I think.
Okay, so Jim, I know your podcast, The Far End of the Bench, features something that All Gloves Off Sports Media doesn't have in any of the other podcasts that we have on our shows right now. Two lifelong friends that host a sportscast. So tell us, buddy, who's your co-host? What is the relationship between the two of you? And does it make doing the podcast easier or harder?
Nico Bryant is my co-host, and he is the closest thing that I have to a brother that is not familially related to me. We've been friends for a very long time. Our families are close. When we were growing up and in the area that we were growing up in, we were just kind of kindred spirits. So we would do a lot of things with them. They have some incredible opportunities that get presented to them as a family, and they've been gracious enough to share that because we have this relationship that we've built. So on that sense, and knowing the other guy's opinion, like I am the driver of our show, so I kind of put everything together and I put things in the rundown, and Nico doesn't see the rundown before. So it basically runs out like an interview, but I put stuff in there that I know is going to get under his skin because I've known him for 17 years and I know exactly what is going to, like, I bring up Quesarito and I know I'm going to get a 15-minute rant that's going to go off on Nikola Jokic because he's a huge Nuggets fan. So in that sense, it's easier. In some senses, there's some challenge. Like the challenge is we are both competitive. We both want to put forth the best product, and we have differing opinions sometimes, and sometimes those lay themselves out like a normal relationship. So we've had, I say marriage, you can say brother, but there's some spats that we get into, and there's some times where we take a couple weeks and we need to just adjust. He's very busy with his day job. He's working as a liaison for the California Redwoods in the PLL, and he works with the Colorado Mammoth that are here for the indoor lacrosse league. So he gets busy, and there are some times where he needs to take a break, and there are some times where we just need a break from each other. But we always come back to, we both know that we want this thing to be successful. We both have that same overall goal. And at the end of the day, I don't trust very many people more than I trust Nico. So even if he tells me stuff that I don't want to hear, it's normally something that I need to hear, and we can use that and move ourselves forward. I think, he's brought a lot of really good ideas, and some of the segments that we still do 7 years into our podcast are something that he came up with or we came up with together sitting at his apartment table, his dining room table at his apartment, coming up with the name Far End of the Bench. Like I said, I think the first name was like the Mountain Express or Skiing Down the Pass or something like that. And it's like, yeah, are we a snowboarding podcast? Because I don't ski or snowboard. I've never done those two things in my life, and I'm a Colorado native. So I was like, we might need to kink this out a little bit. Let's figure this out.
Yeah, you don't need to necessarily have your name to be associated with Colorado for people to know you're there. I mean, your emblem has the mountain in it and all that kind of thing. So I knew it pretty much right away. So, and then the other thing I'll throw at you here is, if either one of you ever need to take a break, there's a guy over here in Arizona who's available to co-host and come on with you guys whenever you want. So just let me know, man. Give me a couple days head notice and we'll make it happen. All right. So,
yep.
With question 5 here, we've got 10 questions lined up, so we're halfway down. I want to talk about your farm system for a minute because I think it's so you've already strengthened your farm system by 3 or 4 players in these trades that you've made. But do you think the Rockies have any untouchable players in their farm system that they shouldn't include in any of these trades?
The name that I continue to come back to would be Ethan Holiday, because you want to see what you get out of him for a couple more years, and maybe you hold on to it and it's not what you expected, but there's going to be other teams. He was a very highly touted prospect, so you can use the other team's original scouting report against them. Hey, I knew Detroit was really high on him going into his draft year. Maybe he's not doing what we want him to do, but we can put him in these situations, make him look really good, and then maybe Detroit turns around and gives you something for him. But as of now, he would be the main one that I'd say is untouchable. There's really not too many other guys that I would be heartbroken of losing. I really don't want to lose Hunter Goodman. I really don't want to lose Ethan Holiday. Those are the two in the entire organization. Nobody else has really established themselves. And part of it is I want them to go out and see if they can be successful too. If you are a certain level of player in the MLB, playing for the Colorado Rockies is not going to give you any kind of development. You're going to be playing from behind. You're never going to see these situations. And you're going to win 1 out of every 3 games when everybody doesn't play the Sunday game of a weekend series. So it's one of those situations where part of it is I want to see what we can get out of these guys that need people to move in front of them. Other part is I would like to see a lot of these guys be in a really good franchise and a really good organization and see that level of talent that they can achieve.
All right, so I want to throw some names at you here for a second. I've got, 3, 4, I got 5. I got 5 names that I think can make a difference that are in your farm system now. You've already said the first one, Ethan Holiday. Charlie Condon, I believe is how you say his last name, Condon. You got Roldy Brito. You got Cole Craig, and Craig is spelled all kinds of weird, or Carrig, I guess is actually how you say it, Carrigg. It's like, I don't know if you've ever seen WWE when Jeff Jarrett was in his prime, and they were like double J, double, that guy's last name is double pretty much everything. And then the last guy, Jared Thomas. So I think you've got some people in the organization that can give you what you need. And you're going to hear some noise outside. It sounds like they're picking up the trash out there. And this room is right by the road. So I apologize, but that's what you've got in the background. It'll go away in a second. So Holiday, Condon, Brito, Carrig, and Thomas. Do you know anything about those guys? And what do you think about them moving forward in this organization?
I'll be honest with you. I'm not as big into the prospect side of things. So I hope that outside of Ethan Holiday, everybody else, I have a whole bunch of hope that they're able to do something. But as long as they're getting the shot that they need to at the lower levels, and if they can move up, I'm a big proponent of, if the guy proves that he can be on the big roster, let's continue to move him up. If he's killing AA, let's move him into AAA and continue that progress, because some of this is a momentum game. And in baseball, it's such a long process to get up to the top level. If they can progress and lose maybe a little bit at that next level, because say you hit 300 at AA, you move up to AAA, and all of a sudden you're dropping down to 220. Well, that could be seen as a failure, but baseball is a game of failure, and you're getting that opportunity to learn yourself how to be a better hitter and move that average up. And then by the time you get back to where you were at AA, you're ready to move up to possibly a spot rotation in the big team. So just continuing to see, I need to do a little bit better research, and that's going to be my I'll mandate that to myself. I need to see better research about this management crew that they have all through their organization. I want to know more about the Rockies manager, the AAA manager, or the AA manager. If these guys can actually develop, because maybe we can overcome what I see as organizational defaults by coaching and development. But we just haven't really had those. Like Bud Black and Clint Hurdle are the names that I remember as Colorado Rockies managers, and they were different in their own right, but I wouldn't say Bud Black is really developing many people. He's more just sitting there laid back, trying to keep everybody even kill. And Clint Hurdle would get after the umpires, but I don't know how much actual player development he was really doing. That was kind of back in those Tommy Lasorda days where the managers were sitting there in their cute little uniforms and not really doing a whole lot except for give me the throw in the lefty. Let's see what the lefty can do.
All right, so I want to continue to talk about your minor league system, even though you said you're not real familiar with it. But I want to do some different stuff here. Let me explain. So you've got no pitchers in your top 6 of your farm system as far as Baseball America goes. You got 3 in the top 10. So here are the questions about that. Is this the new Coors Field philosophy? Do you think it's the right way to go? And how much are you going to have to overpay for good major league pitching once you get to that point?
It probably needs to be changed, but that has been the philosophy for a long time. They just don't have the roster that they normally build with that terrible pitching pipeline, because the Bash brothers with Bichette and when Larry Walker was on the team and all those guys that used to just the Blake Street Bombers, I would love to see something like that happen again. And I think that the organization is like, well, we've tried maybe to put out these pitchers. Ubaldo Jimenez was good for a couple of seasons. You had De La Fuente for a long time, but my co-host says it best. The ball just flies. So pitchers don't want to come here. Pitchers need to learn how to pitch a totally different style when they do come here. But you can teach a guy how to hit, and you can definitely teach him how to hit close to the mountains for half of your 162 games. So maybe we just need to start slugging it out and make that the pipeline of the team. And yeah, you'll overpay, but I'm still sitting here like I'm hoping that minority ownership situation is just the first step into possibly the Monfort's getting out all of that millions and millions of dollars that they'll get from selling the team. I would like to see somebody else come in and run the show. I don't think that there's going to be much of a difference until that happens from the top down.
Okay. So as far, again, we're going to stick with the minor league system for a minute. The last season, last season in the preseason rankings, there we go. The Rockies were in the top 15 on most everybody's preseason, depending on, which analytic part you looked at, right? So this preseason, they were at 30. And after the draft, they were at 22. In fact, ESPN ranked the Rockies at 28 in the preseason. And they put their preseason, they like to do it in values. So last season, they were valued at $185 million, and this season they went all the way down to $88 million. Bleacher Report had them at number 22. Bottom line, Jimmy, the farm system is below average, and I think we would all agree with that. So you've got a below average major league team, you got a below average farm team. So help me, encourage the fans of Colorado right now. Tell us how you fix it.
I'll encourage the fans of Colorado by using one of our good friends that we had on a recent episode. We have been mediocre and below average for a long time, and the A's left Oakland before Colorado ever left Denver. So that can be the encouragement. It's just we're in such a down time. You need somebody to come in and just be the adult in the room, smack everybody into shape, and maybe it's not the right way to go right away, but just get everything moving in a specific direction. Right now, one of the best nicknames that the Rockies have in Colorado is Stan, Pat, and Blake, because the stadium is at 20th and Blake Street. So they just stand pat and do whatever they're going to do. They will never do anything new. They will never do anything outside of their comfort zone. And when you don't go outside of your comfort zone, you don't grow. So again, you're seeing this below average all the way throughout the organization, everything except for the fan experience at the ballpark. However, you are a professional sports franchise. You're not a hospitality company. So it is truly just, it's a disease that they have. And they've had it since, I would say, about 2018. That's 2018, 2010. There's certain years throughout history as a Rockies fan that you can think back and go, those were even really cool without a World Series run. I was telling the story a couple weeks ago. I remember when Carlos Gonzalez would come up in the ninth inning, and if you got the 7 runs, Taco Bell the next day would give you free tacos. So Carlos Gonzalez is up at bat, and everybody's chanting, "We want tacos."
I remember.
We love our baseball team, but we're also not going to sit there and blow smoke up anybody's. We're not going to blow smoke and say that we're great in doing all of this great stuff. We need a good product to be able to get behind. Otherwise, right now, it's just all the transplants that have their companies moved to Colorado, and hey, the Cubs are coming. Hey, the Astros are playing this weekend in Denver. Hey, let's go check out the Yankees and see who they play against the Rockies. But we've just decided that there's nobody worth watching on this team.
Well, if you think transplant's bad in Colorado, you should be here in Arizona when the football team plays, because that's the only thing we can see in the stands at the football stadium right now is the other team's jersey. So
that is a good comparison. That is a good comparison. Nico says the same thing about the Chargers. The Chargers play 17 road games.
Yeah, pretty much. And until they get better, that's the way it's going to be.
Yeah. So you don't want to reward mediocrity at the organizational level. You can't reward not Jeff Bradish. You can't reward Dick Monfort for the team that he's putting together right now.
It's true. I do agree with that. No matter if you're the fans, you are the organization, your Major League Baseball itself, all of those things. That's right. You can't reward mediocrity. I like that a lot. So the last thing on the prospects here, the top 30 by levels, okay? In AAA or MLB are the prospects that you guys have, the top 30. 9 of them are either AAA or MLB. 5 of them are in AA, and 16 of them, including 6 of your top 10 and 4 of your top 5, are either in rookie A or high A. So basically, it's rookie is when you first get drafted. For those of you out there and that are listening to us and aren't real sure what we're talking about, rookie is when you first get drafted. Then they'll jump into A, and then there's a high A. So those are the 3 spots there, and 16 of your players are there. 6 of the top 10, 4 of the top 5. So, Jimmy, knowing this, help us out here. Give Colorado fans at least some hope, because you really didn't do it on the other question I just asked you.
It's hard.
So do it
It's
on
hard.
this one.
Yeah, that's at least something where they are building for the future.
Mm-hmm.
So you can look at that and say all of these guys in the very earliest stages of a baseball career maybe won't help you out right now, but 5, 6 to 7 years down the line, that could be your AAA rotational guys into the major league club. You're hoping of those 16, at least I would say 4. Like 1 out of 4 of those guys get to your major league club at some point. You're going to have prospects of all these at all these levels not work out. But if you get 4 to your big club from the rookies, you continue to move them up the stages, just like we were talking about. I don't want you to just dominate the lower level because you're really that much better than everybody. Let's move you up and see what you have against all of these guys. And that's why it's a good thing, I think, to be able to bounce these guys around. Like, see what they got. If they don't have it, maybe put them on ice for a little bit longer. We invented refrigeration for a reason. I think you don't need to keep everybody on ice, but there are highlights that you can look to in the future. And if they do well, let's move them up and let's give them a shot at the next level.
All right, so my wife just came home, and my dogs are very happy that she's home. So that's what you hear in the background there. So, Jim, I know that, man, you guys have been really successful as far as your podcast goes. You know, you can get it over on X at FEOTB pod, so Far End of the Bench pod. You guys have done over 280 episodes on YouTube. And you can also go youtube.com at Far End of the Bench pod as well, but it's FEOTB abbreviated down for it. We need to throw you a party when you get to 300. But, buddy, here at All Gloves Off Sports Media, we've got people from Tennessee. We got Cincinnati covered. We've got Arizona covered. We got Green Bay covered. We're doing the wrestling thing. We're doing all kinds of stuff. And what have you learned about Colorado sports that translates to sports fans in any city, Jim?
Just when you have players in the most important positions, whether that's basketball, football, hockey, baseball, we got extremely lucky. I am a Cincinnati Bengals fan, so I'll say we started getting lucky when the Bengals made their run to the first AFC championship and won and played the Rams in the Super Bowl, because I was able to do playoff streams post those games, and you get to see just the emotion, all of that great stuff. And then we got the Avalanche winning the Stanley Cup in the following year and the Denver Nuggets winning. So I would say we got lucky with that. But just through all of those, when you have one of the top players in your sport, you have so many. You can be anywhere in the state and just know exactly you have a like-minded individual. You have somebody that's proud of being where you're from. And we say it all the time. It's not just that you want to win because you want your team to be victorious. It's almost like a representation of yourself. If you picked a team that's outside of your city, or if you're following a team from your city, it's a representation of the place that you grew up. And you always want to have that be put forth the best that you can. So we say that we're more of the mid-major. He's like I said, basketball guy. We're more of a mid-major podcast. We like seeing everybody succeed. And we talk about lacrosse. We love wrestling. We talked about John Cena's retirement tour in depth when it was happening. We both love movies, and I'm an English teacher and a social studies teacher, so I'm a little bit of a nerd. So just picking up over the last 7 years, all the different podcasts that we've seen, all the different people that we've collaborated with, it's been just a learning experience. Like, we all just like being passionate and getting a chance to say our opinion and hearing other people's opinions. Because I know that we have people. I look at our analytics and I'm like, why are people from Kansas City listening to us? They're either listening to us because the Chiefs just beat us, or they're like, what do they have that we don't have, especially last year? Because remember, the Chiefs didn't make the playoffs. They were mathematically eliminated before Patrick Mahomes was actually injured. So just giving everybody that platform, and we try and treat it like a sports bar. And now Twitter, as much as I can, because I do get carried away a little bit, we treat it like a sports bar. So if you have an opinion, we love people when they tweet at us and comment on us. And if you have a dumb opinion, I will let you know in the comments. I'm not just going to sit there and let you say whatever you're going to say in the comments. I'm going to come back at you. But if you can defend it, I'm all for it. I like everybody's comments on it, whether it's positive or negative, just because it's a big deal. Like we said, it's been 280 episodes, and every single interaction on a video still is something that, you know, I didn't have before. So I'm willing to give it the time of day and just listen to the opinion and see what we can work out through that.
All right, so let's look at your major league roster and the trade deadline. I want to highlight a few players. I also want to mention that All Gloves, All Sports Media has a great relationship with Anubis Sports. You can go over and look at their stuff. They have some Colorado Rockies things up right now, a couple of things that were based on this podcast that we're doing right now. So go over to Anubis Sports, take a look at everything that they've got going on. I know they've got some Rocky stuff up, and they have actually talked about these three players as well that we're getting ready to. Antonio Sanzatello. This was written a few weeks ago because this was back when we were supposed to get together, and I screwed up the time, and then there's all kinds of things that's happened in between there. But 9-2, a 3.60 ERA. He's got 36 saves, 14 Ks to 16 walks, and he's got 10 years of Major League Baseball service, only owed about $6 million. Do you think there's a good chance, bad chance? What are you thinking about as far as Sanzatello and his trade value and whether he'll be moved?
I think that there's enough teams still within the race that he can be a hot commodity because the consistency and the experience. He's not a first in the rotation guy, but he could be a good fourth or fifth guy if you want to put him on the starting lineup. He's obviously first in coming out of the bullpen with the saves and things that he's able to do. He's always been a guy, like I said, he's put himself forward the best that he can. And there are some days where he gets absolutely shelled and knocked all around the ballpark. But there are other times that he's come out and I've been watching on TV or just at the ballpark, and I'm like, that guy has a lot of control of what he's doing right now. So if he can be a little bit more refined, he would be an even hotter commodity. But that's a guy that I think if you put him with a pitching coach that thinks that he can take him and mold him into what he wants, he's a guy that's very coachable and can actually adjust to the team that he's on.
I'm a big Cincinnati Reds fan, big Arizona Diamondbacks fan. I was upset when they traded Jake McCarthy away. So let's talk about him for a moment. Over 10 home runs, over 50 RBIs. He's got an 860 OPS, and he's only owed $500,000 for the remainder of this season. He's also club controlled through arbitration for 2 more seasons, Jim. So is Jake McCarthy somebody that you want to keep and build around, or is he somebody that you know other teams are going to covet so you'll trade him away?
Because he has the extra years of control, I think that you would be more apt to move him, because right now that's the big thing is with the impending CBA situation, teams don't want to take on like Tarek Skubal. I don't know when the contract is going to happen, but there's going to be a new contract that gets signed before I believe the end of the season, because they don't want 1-year rentals with a possibility of a lockout. So having that extra year of control, you might still have to sit with him not playing for your team for a year, but you also would get an extra year on the back end of that situation. He is talented, really good defensively. Kind of like what we were saying with Doyle, they have a lot of really good defensive outfielders. That would be a guy that I think you could flip into something good for your future. Not going to be anything that knocks the doors off the franchise, but that would be somebody that you can move and use in a positive way, and also help him out a little bit too, because if he's able to go somewhere else and have a little bit bigger of a role, because right now he's more of a depth outfielder that we have and involved with all of the different guys that we have there, I think he can benefit from that too.
All right, so we talked about Sanzatello, 10 years of experience. We talked about Jake McCarthy and his kind of unusual situation because he's only owed $500,000. He's got 2 more years of control. Let's talk about Troy Johnston for a moment. He was selected off waivers from the Marlins, but now he's got over 25 doubles, over 40 RBIs, and he's batting like 295. It's the ultimate buy low, sell high guy, right? Or do you say, oh, we bought this guy low, we have nothing to lose, let's keep him?
You do not want to hold on too long. The teams that are the most successful dynasties always made sure that they just follow conventional wisdom. Every now and then you find a diamond in the rough, but the diamond in the rough is a saying for a reason. They don't happen all the time. So if you got what you got out of this guy and he did a good job of selling himself, take it. Sell it as high as you possibly can, because that guy was brought in here without any kind of expectation, no hype, not importance. I don't want to say it like that, but just nobody was relying on him to save the franchise. Let's
Correct.
send him somewhere else, and let's bring in somebody else that we can use around these other studs that we have.
All right. So, as a Rockies fan, what do you want them to get in return for any of these guys? And what I mean by that, do you want major league ready pieces? Do you want pieces that are close? Or we talked about this earlier. You got 16, 6 of your top 10, 4 of your top 5 that are in rookie A or the A plus ball. Where do you want these guys to fall in the timeline that they're getting back for these guys, Jim?
I would say Hunter Goodman has about 2 more years of control, and then we'll see what happens with him. So I would say anywhere between 2 to 7 years down the line, if they can be truly impactful for the big club, because I think Ethan Holiday is really going to be entering the prime of his career, and maybe it speeds up his process a little bit, because I think that's a guy that can convince a Hunter Goodman to stay around past that couple years of control. The issue with all of our big guys that we've lost in free agency is because there haven't been other pieces around them to keep, or they say that they're going to use all the money to pay the big prospect, and they're going to have to get rid of all the extra teammates that they loved having around him. So I'd say 2 to 7 years is the window, and I really hope that it's not the long end of that. I don't want it to be another 7 years before I can really care about playoff baseball for the Colorado Rockies, but you have so much time. Like you've set your franchise up for the future at this point with all of the prospects that you have. And I don't know if bringing in, like, spending for a major league player right now doesn't make a whole lot of sense, because they're just going to be they're going to be below 500. If they finish above 500, that's when I'll throw a party. If the Colorado Rockies, next time they finish above 500 is when I'll throw a party for myself.
Okay. So, man, we are approaching it and approaching it and approaching it. We haven't quite hit it. We're almost to 300 views live right now on the Lights Out Sports Podcast. We got Jimmy. Jimmy, I don't want to mess it up, so I'll let you do it. How do you say the last name?
Pilato.
All right. Like Pilates, right?
Yeah, that's a good way.
Okay.
I say if you like to play the lottery, it's just lotto. It's a pal, and so it's your friend, and you're playing the lottery. How about that?
Okay, that'll work too. He sounds like a school teacher right now.
Yeah.
So,
all the school kids just call me Mr. P. They can't go any further than that. And my email address has my name spelled in it, and I still don't have anybody spell it right in an email that they send to me. So,
well, maybe that's part of your strategy, though. Then you don't get as many emails, right? Because nobody can spell the name.
That's true.
All right. So we're here with Jim. Man, here's what I'm trying to get. Let's try to get to 300 before we end this segment with Jimmy. Here we go. Let's see if we can do it. We got 2 more questions for him. I'm going to watch the views just skyrocket. So we talked about what the Rockies need in return. Let's talk about currently. Do you think Warren Schaefer has done a good job in year 1? And do you think he's the long-term answer, as the Rockies manager?
It depends on how this season ends, because they're getting to the point that you're going to be mathematically eliminated soon. You are very, very close to that anyways. I would like to see him be able to get this team out of the basement. If they can finish above the Giants in his first year, I'm comfortable with trying to give him a little bit more of a runway. It was never going to be a quick turnaround and a 1-year fix. That was never going to be the plan when he entered this season. But you can't continually be the bottom. And if they have another stretch there's still a possibility that they lose 100 games. I would love to see less than triple digits in the loss column and continue to just look competent and a competitive baseball team. Because even the games that they lose sometimes this year, it's like they give up a rally in the 8th inning. And yeah, that sucks. But with as young as they are and with as little experience as they have, you're going to have those moments. But just look competent through 8.5 innings, 8 1/3 innings, and you can be in these situations and flip these games. We talk about it in the football season. 1-score games is pretty much the average for almost all NFL scores. Keep it within that range. You have a chance of winning. If you keep it within 4, as long as you can get people on base, you have a chance of at least tying it or winning the game if you have the opportunity in the bottom of the 9th. Just continue to look like a professional baseball team. Do not go back to the Cleveland Spiders era. I don't want to hear any more comparisons between the Colorado Rockies and the Cleveland Spiders. Please, for the love of everything, don't have that be the situation for the end of the season, because you're going to have absolutely nothing to play for. That's the unfortunate thing.
Okay. So, first of all, we've mentioned the Cleveland Spiders 2 or 3 times so far. I wish Cleveland would have gone back to the Spiders instead of the Guardians, but that's just my own opinion.
Yeah.
The Rockies are currently 45-67, so they are 24 games back of the Dodgers, and they're 14 games out of the wild card. They have won 3 in a row. For the longest time, all season long, they were minus way over 100 runs in their run differential. It's better. It's under 100 now. They actually do play pretty good at home, Jim, 27-29. So they're only 2 games under at home. So there's some things to be encouraged about your Rockies. I just don't know if it's good enough right the moment, is it?
Is it good enough for a standard MLB franchise? No, but I think it's good enough for what we were witness to the season before. Because not only were they really bad last season, the year before they struggled at home. They were winning all their games on the road, and with the way that this franchise is built, with the lack of pitching, that should never be the case. You should always have the home advantage and be able to just bash the ball around the park. And then, you're going to have to struggle when you go and bring these below average pitchers to these other ballparks. But that is another very encouraging sign. That would be another reason why, hey, even if they do end up losing triple-digit games or continue to be in the last place of the division, if you finish with a really high home record, that gives you a lot of really good runway into the next season, because now you don't have to focus on how to win at home. Now you can start focusing on how do we put these road games together, because every game is going to be different. And every pitcher that you have, like if you are seeing Turek Skubal, the team knows they have to get at least one run and make sure that the defense plays good enough to make sure that that run differential stays where it is. You talked about it. The run differential is a terrible, terrible issue. I would love to see that by the end of the season, if it can be somewhere around minus 75 instead of minus 98, that would be another sign that I could point to and say this team has something worth getting invested in. I just don't want to be burned. That's my big thing, because I got really excited a few years ago when I'm not going to lie. I was really excited when Chris Bryant was signed because of the really good PR job that they did when they brought him in. But I would love to have something to be truly excited about that actually has some merit behind it too.
All right. So how do you feel about the overall team? And, well, how do you feel about the overall team? And then I'll ask you one final question here.
I love the fact that we have somebody that I can sit on and know that he's a really top player at his position. Hunter Goodman is one of those players that I haven't had in a long time. Like I said, I just don't want to be embarrassed. And I think that was the biggest issue. And that's why there's so much resentment, is the embarrassment of the season ago. And if you can avoid that and just pick yourself up and dust yourself off, it's going to happen. You're going to always have years that you can't believe that this is the team that you root for because of the product that they put out. But hopefully that is the wake up call that they need. And they just move in that cycle. You get good, you try and do as best you can, you fall off for a little bit. I just hope that they continue to do these and it builds into, hey, maybe the Rockies do have a chance of winning the division at some point in the future. Maybe it's when they finally move to AL with the expansion, but just at some point I would like to truly be prideful and not have to worry about this embarrassment factor, because that's always in the back of your mind. When you lose that many games, you're just sitting there like, when is this going to happen next? When is the next 15-game losing streak coming? And it's a bad way to think, but it's the reality that we've had for a few years.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a great thing as far as that part goes, but I don't think that the Rockies are in some kind of, I don't know. I don't think it's, they're moving in the right direction. How about that? Would you at least agree with they're moving in the right direction?
Yeah, they're keeping up with what they needed to do. They're keeping up with everybody's hopes. Like, this was the hope of everybody this season. If you talk to somebody that said they were going to make the playoffs, they weren't living in reality. But every Rockies fan or baseball fan in Colorado that was living in reality said, just continue to be a little bit competitive. Just continue to put a little bit better of a product out there and see if you can get better each game. And that's what they've done. So there's not really a complaint. The complaints come from everything else that we talked about. The product on the field is something that I can actually sit there and say objectively, I've been okay with, and I've really liked it this year, because it's always, you have a chance. You're not getting beat by there was a time that the Rockies had given up more runs than the Broncos offense had scored at that point in the NFL season. That was rough. That was really, really rough. So we're not there, and I'm glad I'm glad that I didn't ditch the team, but it is still like I'm jaded. I'm guarded. I'm not going to totally dive in and give myself back over to the purple and black just yet.
All right, I'm after that. I certainly understand that. I'm a Reds fan and a Diamondbacks fan, and we've gone through our ups and downs as far as all of those franchises too. So, Jim, you are part of the huge new podcast right here. Far End of the Bench, of course, is the name of it. Tell us when our guys can find you, when our fantastic fans can find you, what day, what time, because I know they're going to want to tune in after this interview.
I appreciate it. And if you are interested in continuing to hear more Rockies commiseration and maybe some of the good things that happen, plus the Broncos season, I'm looking forward to this next week's episode, but Nico's going to be insufferable with Bo Nix and Jaden Waddle clips coming out of training camp here for the Denver Broncos. But you can listen. We took last week off because our busy schedules, but we'll be back this Thursday at FEO TV Pod. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you follow us on socials, we post a ton of clips. So if you need to get a little bit more convincing to go watch our show, check out the clips that we have on all of our social medias. But like I said, we're excited to be on the All Gloves Off Sports Media Network. And you mentioned it. Yeah, we always want everybody from the network. We have a standing invitation once we get it scheduled for everybody. But I know I've talked to Red Hot Reds as well with different things. We had a very long, in-depth World Cup conversation, which is probably the first time in 28 years of life that I've said I've ever talked in depth about soccer, but it was good. And we've been doing a lot of really cool things. So we appreciate the network and we appreciate everybody that's hopefully going to join us and become a new bench warmer. And we'll, this was a lot of fun. This was the most actual therapy that I've done about the Rockies in a long time. So I appreciate that.
Oh, no problem at all. I'm the baseball guy. Cheese is more the football guy. So we combine to do that on our show. I know you guys do a lot of things on your show. Isn't there like a hockey team or something you guys also keep up with? Talk to me about that for a moment.
Yeah, that one was really tough this year because when we made it to the Western Conference Finals for the Avalanche, we were just riding so high because everything was opening up. Initially, we did think about double parades for the Nuggets and Avalanche too. But no, the Colorado Avalanche are a team that's near and dear to our hearts. They came to Colorado the year before Nico and I were born. So in 1996, that was the year that they won their first Stanley Cup. And my family's been really big into it. Nico continues to watch. We love Nathan McKinnon. We love Nikola Jokic. Nico loves Bo Nix. I know not everybody does, but Bo Nix is very high up on his list of individuals right now. We're always going to be we always lean towards our comfort teams, but it's objective. I will not sit there and let Nico tell everybody that the Broncos are going to go 17-0, just like he's not going to let me sit there and say that the Bengals are going to be the most dominant team in the AFC. It's just we keep each other in check. And I think if you like honest sports conversation that gets a little bit silly, that we can joke with each other, jab at each other a little bit, but we're always ending up in the common ground. That's the biggest thing about our show. And I say it all the time. I need it because I just need a little bit of a break from everything else. So if you're somebody that's like myself that has a lot of other things going on throughout their day, a nice little hour and a half, 2 hour break when we get the NFL season coming back with us, I use a lot of shows for it. And I'm sure that people can look at that and possibly use that as one of our jumping grounds.
All right. So there have been some trades that have also gone down today that involve the same division that the Rockies are in. So let's talk about those for a moment while Cheese will be with us here shortly. We'll get him on as well. Actually, he is with us right now, so we'll get him up here to join towards the center here. I just want to ask you about this, Jim. So the Giants today made a trade with the Padres. They traded Robbie Ray to the Padres. How do you feel about trades that happen within the same division?
I'm definitely a football guy. That was a sport that I loved playing growing up, and I still coach football. Followed that probably the closest of any other sport. I'm of the mind that if it's in your division, not only should you not trade anybody to them, but you should also try and mess with them a little bit, like what you can do legally in that framework. I'm thinking of the Nuggets and Oklahoma City Thunder. The offer sheet that was offered to, I believe it was Peyton Watson, cost the Nuggets another $4 million on this individual contract, but also pushed them like another $30 million in the luxury tax issues. Mm-hmm. If you are in the division, you are trying to win the division. unless you know this guy absolutely sucks and you're trying to send him as a sleeper agent to this other roster, I don't understand why you would give a talented player or a player that you think you can do something with to another team that plays the most amount of games in the season against you. Division rivalries need to matter, not just in football, but in all sports, because it is a huge deal. If you win the division, you are in such a better place for the postseason. You don't have to use as many arms in the pitching rotation and out of the bullpen. So the fact that you are willing to just give away players to another team that's competing and are much better than you, I'm not on board with that. I would send him as far away as possible and just try and get him out of the – if I'm not going to use him, I don't want to play him 16 times. 20 times, however many times they play their division teams in the MLB. Like, that's ridiculous.
Right. Okay, I got it. One quick question at the end, and then we're going to bid you adieu, Jimmy. We appreciate you coming on. Far End of the Bench is the name of the podcast. Does Pete Rose deserve to be in the Baseball Hall of Fame?
Ooh. Now this one's getting interesting because I love philosophy and thinking about morals and all of that stuff. And it's really more prevalent now than it ever has been because of all of those other athletes that have been getting caught betting on their teams. And the Brendan Sorsby situation is another one that gets brought up. I don't know. I think that there is a lot behind the MLB Hall of Fame. They treat themselves as this standard above organization.
Okay.
I think that the writers are too pompous with their decisions. So I get what he did was wrong, and I don't believe that he ever truly apologized for. What he did was wrong. He bet on games that he played in. One thing that I will give him credit for is that he was betting on his team to win, and he was trying to do the things in order to win for the game. Like, I don't know why you need the extra plus 225 incentive on actually winning a professional game, but that's what he needed. So the fact that he never apologized, the fact that he never came out and said that it was wrong himself, I think that that's probably what's keeping him out of it. And in my mind, if he was able to just admit it and just, yeah, I did. I bet on those games. I tried to win as much as I could to win those bets and to also have the team win. That would go a long way, but I don't think that it's the right time. And I don't think that it shouldn't be a posthumous thing. That is a guy that was great enough as a player that he should have been celebrated backflipping into the Hall of Fame. And unfortunately, the personal side gets in the way. You can't really separate the two. You got to deal with the good and the bad, and what he did and never taking accountability for it the way that he should have, I think, is what keeps him out of the Hall of Fame for me.
All right, Jim. Hey, buddy, I appreciate you coming on. I know you've got practice to get to. You're going to teach the kids something this afternoon, so we appreciate that. Tell us one more time, when can we get you? What's the name of the podcast? Give us the rundown, buddy.
Thursdays, Far End of the Bench podcast, myself and Nico Bryant, coming from the Mile High City, on YouTube as well. So follow us at FEOTB Pod. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're on all listening platforms and everything like that. Comment down below your takes. We will go back and forth with you. If we think that you have a bad take, we'll try and let you know. But I hope everybody enjoyed it and understands sports are a competitive thing. So we can get a little competitive. We can have differing opinions. We all come back to the same place. And hey, we're all sitting on the bench anyways. It's not like any of us are actually professional athletes, because now that's the new thing in podcasting, is being a professional athlete and becoming a podcaster. So Thursdays, every Thursday for the Far End of the Bench, we'll be back with episode 284 this upcoming week.
All right. We said we're going to throw you a party at 300. We're going to have to do it, buddy. We will. We'll figure something out. But we appreciate you very much. Thank you. Cheese will be on here in just a moment. But, of course, before we do any of that kind of stuff, we've got to have the right kind of intro. We got to get everything done. Jimmy, thank you very much. Because right now, not only are you, but all of us are going to go lights out.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? Tonight, we rewrite the rules. The countdown has begun. The show starts in 10, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Oh, there he is, that familiar face, that guy. Woo, there he is. My buddy Cheese, how you been, sir?
Well, I've been well. How have you been, Michael?
Oh, man, I can't complain. I know a lot of people think that the best time of year is, the March Madness and the spring training and all of that stuff all at the same time. And I can't tell you how much I love this day, the trade deadline day, as we approach almost 300. We're less than 10 away, Cheese. We'll have 300 viewers live with us right now on our trade edition special of the Lights Out Sports podcast. Maybe we should start doing things during the afternoon.
I wish I could. Let's just all quit our jobs and just do this every day. And just
There you go. And
yeah.
you know what? If somebody sponsors us, we'll do it. Now, we get enough money put together, we'll just quit our jobs and be done. Have they made any trades yet?
They just made a huge one, so that's why I brought it up.
Oh, here we go.
I grabbed this. They got Dalton Varsho from the Blue Jays. That's a huge move for them. They had to get a left-handed outfield bat. That was they had to, and their only real threat from the left side is Yordan Alvarez. So they got Dalton Varsho. I love the move for the Astros.
And he's a good defender too, so he'll be able to patrol center field for them really well.
Yeah. So big move for the Astros. I was waiting for them to get a bat, and they finally did. And the Cubs just got somebody from the Angels. Didn't see who because they went right to the Astros trade, but it said that Moises Ballesteros was traded. So I hope he's good because that's a good young bat that has struggled after a great April. But let me see if I can find it. They're coming in so fast.
Ryan Zeferjahn or something like that is who they got. Zeferjahn. That's who they got from the Angels.
Okay. There's so much to talk about, but one thing I do want to mention, a lot of people think the Red Sox gave up way too much, like a lot of people online, for Adley Rutschman. They're only going to get him through next year. They gave up, quite a bit apparently. So that's been being talked about online.
So did the Astros give up Spencer Arrighetti to get Dalton Varsho?
Yeah, they did.
Whoa.
Interesting. They have more pitching depth. Yeah, that's a little surprising. They don't. The problem with the Astros is their farm system's a bottom 5 system right now. They made some trades the last few years, so they don't have a great system. So they pretty much had to trade from their major league roster. Okay,
that's a lot to give up.
The Cubs have acquired Ryan Zeferjahn.
Yeah, that's what I said. I'm glad you did it because I'd mess up a name.
The Angels were trying to acquire a catcher. They don't really. I guess they have a good young catcher. So Moises Ballesteros, mostly DH, but he caught a little bit. Is going to the Angels, and also Mason McGuire, who's important because he is Mark McGuire's son, and he was in the futures game. I don't think he's like a top 20 prospect in the Cubs system though, but he's probably more of a reliever prospect. But that's a lot to give up unless this guy's really good, and I've never heard of him. Let me look it up.
All right. There's a lot of stuff going on. As you just said, we're going to try to keep up on everything as fast and furious as it comes in. I'm going to be honest, Cheese, our fans, like I said, we're close to 300 here. That's fantastic. We appreciate all of you being on. This is different for me. I'm a little nervous about this show, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Usually this show is, 90% scripted. We know exactly what we're going to talk about. We've had the ability to look at numbers and grab the stats and put everything up on the board and get ready for everything. This is fly by the seat of your pants kind of thing. So yeah, this is different for at least myself. I don't know about you, Cheese, but yeah, sometimes this gets crazy when it happens, and I'm sure.
I hadn't really thought about it. Just there's so much to talk about. There's been so many trades, so many interesting, surprising. It's been a really strange deadline because there was already a bunch done yesterday, like a lot of big ones, like Jose Soriano, like Terry Skubal.
Yeah, we'll talk about
Dolphins
some of those
in
trades
the
here
house.
as well. So Andy says Dolphins are in the house. I don't know that the Dolphins are a Major League Baseball team, but hey,
But
all
the
right.
Marlins are, and the Marlins have made some moves. They
They
traded
have made
Braxton
some
Garrett
moves.
to the Cubs. That's an interesting move because, well, we can talk about it, but there's so many trades to talk about. But Braxton Garrett basically hadn't pitched for 2 years with injury. He's been in the minors this year. I think the Cubs are probably going to use him out of bullpen this year and then next year because they have 3 lefty starters that are free agents end of the year: Matthew Boyd, Shota Imanga, and David Peterson.
Mhm.
So they'll probably use him in the rotation next year and hope he returns to his 2023 form where he's very good.
All right, so tomorrow's show is probably going to be a little shorter because, as Cheese and I can tell you, we're doing this show special right now. We thank Jimmy for being on from the Far End of the Bench podcast. Appreciated him coming on in the first hour or so of the show. Tomorrow's show we're going to do, and then we're going to do a show on Thursday, right, Cheese? Tell us about that show.
Thursday is the Hall of Fame game. It's the Panthers and Cardinals. We're going to do a watch along, and we're going to just talk football. We'll talk young players. We'll talk outlook of the Cardinals. We'll talk Panthers. We'll talk all NFL. So it's not just so you don't have to listen to broadcasters talk about players you've never heard of. We're going to talk about other NFL topics as well. And I get a lot of the players playing I will have heard of because of the draft. But so it'll just be a lot of fun. We'll just watch along. It's the very first football game either. Of the year. Technically, I know it's exhibition, but it's just fun. I watch it every year.
Yeah, I mean that's great. And Andy over here, he's in football mode. And don't get me wrong, Andy, we're in football mode too, especially Cheese. But today is a great day for MLB. We need to talk about these trades, and then he said Chicago White Sox are going to do it. And you know what, buddy? They've got a shot. I want to talk about them here in a few moments. And we will do so.
Mike guarantees the White Sox win the World Series.
Well, let's not go that far. But I will tell you this. Tomorrow, Cheese, I want to talk about some topics that we're going to hit on tomorrow real quick before we dive in. We're going to dive in team by team, alphabetical order here in a second, starting with the American League. And as I told people in the beginning of this show, my job is to basically keep this show moving and keep topics flowing. And Cheese's job is to watch the 2 televisions that I know he's got in his room there and tell us about the breaking news trades as they happen. So that's kind of the way the show's going to go. We're going to talk team by team by team, and then we're also going to tell you about the breaking news as those trades happen. But before we get into all of that, tomorrow, Cheese, there was a manager, and I know there's been a whole bunch of trade stuff, and it's kind of drowned out some of the other things that's happened in Major League Baseball, but I want to hit on these 5 subjects tomorrow. So there was a manager that was thrown out yesterday during a rain delay, and we'll talk about it. Should you bunt to break up a no-hitter? That was done yesterday. We'll talk about that.
I can't wait to talk about that because I have a very strong opinion on that one.
All right, sounds good. We'll get into that tomorrow. The Red Sox went to L.A. and swept the Dodgers. I don't think enough people are talking about this, but we will on tomorrow's Lights Out Sports podcast. We're going to talk about, are the Dodgers getting too cocky? Who would their starters be now in a 5-game series? Who are they going to bring out 1, 2, and 3? We're going to talk about the deferred money from the contracts that they have and their starters versus other complete teams. And for a change, I know this is going to shock you, Cheese. Hang on to your headset. I am going to play Dodgers Devil's advocate tomorrow. It'll be a great time to talk Dodgers. The 4th thing we'll talk about, we're going to rank the top 6 teams in each division now. After this trade deadline, who are the top 6 teams in each division? Because as you know, there are 3 division people and then there are 3 wildcard teams. So that'll be 6. We'll rank the top 6 in each division. And lastly, we might do more than this, but I know these are the 5 things that I'm working on right now for tomorrow's show. The no trade clause. There was a player who decided to invoke his no trade clause today, even though a trade was already put together for him. So we'll talk about no trade clauses, and we'll talk about 10 and 5 rights for players tomorrow. Should be a very interesting Lights Out Sports podcast. Any breaking stuff right now, Cheese?
No, just you're going to rank the White Sox number 1. No, just
they'll be high. I'm not sure if they'll be 1, but they'll be high.
It just says the Blue Jays are getting calls on Jose Soriano, so they could flip him again. That trade definitely surprised me. I thought that the Angels should get more for a controllable ground ball pitcher who's having a great year. I thought they'd get at least 2 top 100 prospects, only got 1. So I can see why the Blue Jays made the trade. I don't really know what the Blue Jays are doing, but if they get, like, the Braves really wanted Jose Soriano. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. But
all right, so we got to do some kind of order in the show, right? So let's start with the A's. And I said earlier that we were going to do American League first, then National League. We're not. We're just going to go right down through. We're going to start actually in Arizona. And I am shocked. I don't know about you, but I'm shocked. They have not made any deals as of yet, but they do have a lot of players coming back, Cheese. Do you think that's why they haven't made any moves yet?
I don't know. There's one of their best trade assets, Langoliers, is out for the year. The catcher, he would have been.
That's Oakland. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We're not talking about the A's.
Well, you can. Let's talk about the A's first, then we'll do the Arizona Diamondbacks. Go ahead.
Oh,
Go ahead.
I thought you were starting athletic. I thought okay. Oh no, Diamondbacks. Yeah, Diamondbacks. We talked about this a couple weeks ago. They had to make a decision, like go for it or not, like buy or sell, but don't do nothing. They need pitching, right? They got to get some pitching. They could, we still have time. We still have about an hour and a half. 2.5 hours. I don't know what time it is.
It's 1:30 my time. I don't know about you, but
hour and a half left. I was trying to remember what time the deadline was. I thought the Diamondbacks would have done something by now. What about you?
I think they will. I think they'll be one of those teams that'll be hot and heavy towards the end because they, as you just said, they need a starting pitcher, and I think they need some relievers too. And the relievers usually go more towards the end,
the last minute.
So I think they'll be, right there with that. Now let's look at this. So Cheese, Justin Martinez, their closer who came back from Tommy John, he has been pitching in Single A. So he's getting ready to come back. Jordan Lawler, their outfielder / third baseman, is getting ready to come back. And all these guys are within the next couple of weeks. Michael Soroka is going to come back again within the next couple of weeks or so. Zach Gallen is going to come back. Lourdes Gurriel Jr., Tommy Troy, Ryan Nelson, Corbin Burns looks like he's going to come back, even though he's had a few setbacks. So it's not. That's almost like getting some people, right, without having to give up your top prospects or, in fact, any prospects when it comes to that.
Soroka is just going to get hurt again. That's what he does.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it.
I mean, that's the same with a lot of teams. A lot of teams got people coming back. The Cubs should have like 2 or 3 pitchers coming back soon, but you still don't know. Maybe, they have a setback, so you can't really necessarily count on that. But I don't know. I just don't know the mindset of the Diamondbacks. I don't know if they think they can win do they think they can win the National League? They can compete in a 7-game series with the Dodgers. They play in the NLCS. If you think you're 1 or 2 players away, yeah, we can, then go for it. If you don't think so, maybe you sell. I don't know. I think they're tied for the last spot. If I'm not,
they're tied for the second spot with the Phillies right now.
Second spot. Okay. So yeah, they're right. They're in there right now. And the Pirates are right behind them. They made a move for Luke Weaver. So
yeah, I like that move actually.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right, so let's keep going in alphabetical order. We just talked about the Diamondbacks. The Athletics really haven't made any moves whatsoever, and that means that the Atlanta Braves are who we need to talk about next. Well, so they've acquired Brett Suter.
Just quick on the Athletics. I would, if I'm the Athletics, I would sell every single person that's a free agent end of the year. But I think Langoliers could have been maybe a Red Sox instead of Rushman if he had been available. I think the Red Sox would have been real aggressive, but out for the year, that really hurts Athletics. But I'm surprised that they haven't made a move because, just get what you can, build up the farm system, sell your free agents. I know they think they can compete next year, but I'm surprised they haven't made a move.
Yeah, so am I. But we'll get to all these teams here. We gotta let's talk about your Braves for a second. They gave up Nacho Alvarez, in a trade for Brett Suter. He was with the Reds last year. Fantastic guy. Got his autograph 2 or 3 times. He was really great with the kids. He had a special card that he actually signed that they would give away on the backfields that basically encouraged the kids to stay in school and all this kind of stuff. So a really great guy. You got a great guy, but did you get a great pitcher in Brett Suter, Cheese?
Well, they have 3 lefties in their bullpen, so some people were surprised, but he is a ground ball specialist, weak contact specialist. They don't have that. I mean, it's nice to have a guy you can come in and get a quick double play. And they definitely need a bullpen depth. So, one of their lefties is way better at getting out righties than lefties. So technically they have 2 lefty relievers, and Dylan Lee was just way overworked. He's starting to struggle a little bit. So they need another reliever. I like it. I like having one ground ball specialist is big. And I still remember when he was with the Brewers, for some reason the Cubs just couldn't hit him. They couldn't hit him. So I like the move. And Nacho just doesn't have much power, and he's always hurt. He just doesn't have a high ceiling. So I understand why they moved him.
Okay. So they also gave up, well, I shouldn't say gave up. They also traded Anthony Molina, and they got Tyler Mahle back in return from the Giants. What about that trade for you, Cheese? You're the Braves guy. Let's talk about that.
Mahle, that's not really like, I guess I don't know. He's not really the player he used to be. But Molina's not anything great either. I mean, he's like 24, 25 already in AAA. So it's one of those trades where not giving up much, not getting much. Maybe they can get something out of him. I'm not even sure if they'll use him in the bullpen or a starter yet, but we'll see. I mean, that's one of those trades. It's like,
if I had to guess, I'd say he'll be the long man out of the bullpen and then maybe get a spot start here or there.
Yeah.
All right, so it's like you're trying to get the old Reds players. You got Brett Suter, used to be with the Cincinnati Reds. You got Tyler Mahle, used to be with the Reds. Lane Thomas and Bailey Falter, both from the Royals. Neither one of them were with the Reds. What about this trade, Chiefs?
Well, Bailey Falter's just depth in the AAA. He's probably not, probably more toward next year. But Lane Thomas, they had to get a right-handed bat, and left field was the spot to get it. They just really struggle with left-hand pitching. It's been a huge problem this year. They have games where they go against a lefty that's got a 5-something ERA and they lose 2-1 or lose 3-2. So with Austin Riley really struggling, they just really need a bat. And Lane Thomas, he kills left-hand pitching. So and left field, that's one of the easier positions to find someone. So that's the perfect spot. So I like that now for them.
Okay, and then the last move that they made, the first one that they made, actually, they got Joey Bart from the Pirates. Just simply catching depth for them. Was that what this move was for, Cheese?
He might not be on the team come tomorrow because Sean Murphy's just about ready to be back. He's on a rehab assignment. So I don't know if Bart has options. If he doesn't, he's probably going to be designated for assignment. So.
And honestly, I don't think he does. So
he just can't hit. It's a shame because he was a high draft pick. He just some guys just can't hit. He's a good defensive catcher though.
All right, so let's talk Baltimore Orioles because they made a lot of moves. They got Randall Diaz from the Nationals for Kyle Nicholas. Right, they acquired Cam Sanders from the Pirates just for cash. We will just kind of skip by that one. Rudy Martin Jr. from the Royals for cash as well. They got Jake Rogers from the Tigers as a backup catcher. He might make a little bit of difference for them, but not a ton. They got Reyes from the Twins for Dean Kramer. Or I'm sorry, they got Dean Kramer. Yeah, that's right. I was right. They got Reyes from the Twins as they traded Dean Kramer. The Twins are kind of going for it. We'll talk about them in a moment. Alex Hopp and Brock Moore and Harrison Kruling from the Mariners for Tyler Ward. I thought that was an
Ward,
interesting trade. So let's talk.
I think it's Taylor Ward.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You are right. It is Taylor Ward. I apologize. Let's talk Taylor Ward for a second. In the Baltimore Orioles as a whole, I'm surprised they gave up a pitcher in Dean Kramer because they need so much pitching. I know that Taylor was not the power threat that they thought he was going to be, but he's certainly been on base fantastic this year. I was really surprised they gave up on him. And then, of course, we're going to have to talk about the other trade here in just a moment. But before we do, what do we think about the Orioles overall and these trades that they've made? I mean, geez, I've heard tons of people. I keep seeing people talk about this. Do the Orioles know what the heck they're doing?
No, they don't. They don't have a plan. They don't have a plan. You know, like 3 years ago, so they won 100 games. It looked like they were finally good. For all those years, they were bad. They weren't developing prospects. They finally were. And then it just all collapsed. All these guys are supposed to be amazing, like Rutschman, like Holiday, just haven't been. All these prospects are supposed to be, just they had so many top 20 prospects at one point, bats, and none of them have lived up to that. And then, wasn't O'Hearn on them?
Yes, he was. Ryan O'Hearn that's now with the Pirates. Yes.
Yeah, and he's much better with the Pirates than he was with the Orioles. I don't know what's going on with the organization, and I just don't. I don't think they have a long-term plan at all. I think they're just an absolute mess, and they finally decided we're just going to trade some people, get prospects back.
But it's not worked, Cheese. I mean, they've had all these prospects that were supposed to be, can't miss guys. They had them all, and everybody was excited about it. But in the last 2 years, basically since they started pulling these prospects up, they were like either 15 or 20 games under 500. So it's not working. Don't you have to kind of break it up and see what you can get in some of these trades like this?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Rutschman, obviously, only a year and a half left on his contract, so I get that. It looks like they got a good return, but just it's not. You can't always say, "Well, these guys didn't work out." Like, you have to blame the organization somewhat. You got to say they got to develop these players. They got to get the most out of them. I mean, is it Jackson Holiday? There's so many holidays.
Yes, they have Jackson. Yes,
Jackson. Okay, he was one point the top prospect in baseball. He's like a 230 hitter. I know he's got a lot of hand issues. He's had injured, but there was it Casello? I mean, there's just at one point they had like Grayson Rodriguez was supposed to be amazing. Like they had they had like 4 or 5 top 25 prospects. It was supposed to be the next big thing, and none of them either are not good or they're not as good as they should be. Rutschman was supposed to be Mike Piazza, but played defense. Not even close.
Yeah. So let's talk about that trade for a moment.
They got to do a better job developing young talent.
Absolutely. So it was not only an Adley Rutschman trade, but maybe the person that ends up making more of an impact, Jake Rogers, was also involved in this trade. So from Baltimore, they got Adley Rutschman and Jake Rogers, and the Red Sox gave up Anthony Ianson, Carlos Navarez, Edney Azokar, I believe, and Kyson Witherspoon. So 4 for 2. But, Cheese, Adley Rutschman has been injured a lot as well, just like some of the other players that we talked about with the Orioles, and he's got a left hand issue right now. Do you really want a catcher with a hand issue, buddy?
I wonder if it'll be a Max Crosby situation. I wonder if they'll buyer's remorse. All these people are saying they gave up way too much for an injured catcher that doesn't hit like he used to. It might be like, they could fail him on the physical if they want, if he's got a hand issue. So, yeah, I'm a little surprised. They wanted to catch. Their catchers have not hit it all this year, so they wanted a catcher. But I follow a lot of minor league baseball, but I'm not really familiar with the Red Sox system very much, so I do not know the guys that they gave up, how good it is. But I know one of them was a top 50 prospect, so I'm definitely surprised that they gave up a top 50 prospect for Rutschman. And it's not like he's got 3 years left of control. Like the reliever the Cubs got, he's free agent in like 4 years. So giving up Moises Ballesteros, okay, that doesn't hurt as bad. But you only get him for a year and 2 months.
Yeah, but I think your Cubs made another move that's going to be even more impactful. We'll get to the Cubs in a second. The next is going to be the Boston Red Sox. We just talked about them. They've acquired Jamai Jones from the Tigers. They got Curtis Mead, of course, from the Nationals. Then he gets hurt and goes on the IL right away. They also got Brett Harris from the Athletics. So just a few kind of minor tweaks. I don't really know any of those guys besides Curtis Mead. We talked about Curtis Mead last week. So let's just jump to the Cubs, all right? They got David Peterson from the Mets. They got Aaron Savali from the Athletics. They got, they got cash because they traded, they DFA'd Jamison Taillon, and they got cash back from the Blue Jays for him. They got Braxton Garrett today, and they got Ryan Zephyr-John. That's what we're going to say. But they gave up Moises Ballesteros. That's the first thing I want to talk about, Cheese. And there's another trade that I haven't mentioned yet that I want to save for the next part of this conversation. They gave up on Moises Ballesteros. Do you like that or not?
So, really liked him as a prospect. Problem is, he's pretty much a DH only, maybe a third catcher. They were hoping he maybe catch once a week, and he caught like 2 times ever. But people figured him out. He can't hit inside pitches. And even down in AAA, he's got a league average bat. He's not been great in AAA. I mean, he was one of the rookie year favorites after April, and they figured out that he can't turn on inside pitches. So, I understand it. I just don't think they have a spot for him. And Zephyr-John has 75 strikeouts in 51 innings. He does have a lot of walks, but he misses bats. And that's one of the biggest problems of the Cubs bullpen. Too many pitch to contact guys. And that's not going to fly in the playoffs. They needed a reliever, a controllable reliever that can miss bats. So I like that move. Gosman, that was a solid move too. One of the prospects they gave up is not really a prospect. The other guy kind of hurts, but another guy that's doesn't have a lot of power. They seem to trade all these guys that just didn't have a lot of high. They didn't trade either high ceiling guys, but more high floor type prospects.
So what about Braxton Miller? You talked about Glass or not Glass now. You talked about my guy Gossman. I really think he's going to make a big difference. I'll get to him in a moment. Talk about today's move, Braxton. What do you think about Braxton Garrett that they got today?
Well, he's been the minors most of the year. He struggled coming off Tommy John surgery. This is a play for next year. Peterson, who they got with the Mets, who was terrible for the Mets, has been very good for the Cubs. I don't know what they did. They unlocked something, completely shut the Yankees down over the weekend. But Peterson, Matthew Boyd, and Shota Imanaga, all lefties, all starters, all free agents next year. So the only lefty that has possibility to start if he's healthy is Justin Steele next year. So this is all about next year. And they gave up 2 AAA players that are just, I think one of them is 25, the other's 24. They're good. They're good prospects, but not great. They don't have, it's not someone that it's going to hurt them at all. Holmes and Taylor to the Cubs from the Mets for Jefferson Rojas, pending physical.
Wow, they got
Holy
Clay Holmes.
crap! They got Clay Holmes. Boy, they didn't stop it. I can't. Clay Holmes and Tyrone Taylor. Holy crap for Jefferson Rojas. Jefferson Rojas is their second best prospect, but he plays second base or third base and he's blocked. He's a shortstop technically, but he's not going to play shortstop. Holy crap.
Yeah, so we'll talk about that here in just a second. Let me finish up Braxton Garrett here. 2 games in AAA. He's got a 14.54 ERA right now. So he missed all of last year with Tommy John. He's trying to come back. He's 28 years old, and he's a lefty, as you mentioned. So, yes, it's a complete play for next year. I completely agree with you. The other part I want to get to, I think Kevin Gossman's going to be a big thing for you guys. What do you think about Gossman before we talk about Holmes?
Yeah, what's good about Gossman is, well, first of all, they're very left-handed. He's a right-handed starter, but he's not what he used to be, but his peripherals are much better than his ERA. So he just had a really bad stretch in there. He's been much better the last few weeks, but real bad stretch in June and July. He had almost like a 3-week stretch where his ERA was 6 something. So really his ERA, take away that, it's going to be in the 3s. And he misses bats, and they needed someone. They needed like a number 2 type starter, number 1 or 2 type starter in the postseason, and he has had postseason success in the past. So with the Giants and Blue Jays, so it's just a big, he's a rental, but like I said, they didn't really give up a lot for him. So that's a big move. And Clay Holmes, I mean that's they needed started pitching and they got it.
Yeah, Clay Holmes. I mean, he was injured as well, but
crazy story because he was a reliever for all these years and they made him a starter and he was even better. The Yankees. He was a reliever for the Yankees, and the Mets are like, you could be a starter, and he's excelled.
Yeah. So now they're also reporting. I'm kind of reading all kinds of stuff as we're I'm all over the internet here right at the moment. And this is what I was a little afraid of was, this show is going to be just kind of like reaction. What happens next? Oh, back to this one. So I guess Mark McGuire's son's very happy to be going back to Orange County, by the way. So he's going back to the Angels in the, oh my gosh, the Zephyr John. Why do I keep putting myself in this spot where I got to keep saying his name? In the Zephyr's John trade. So he's happy about that. I think the Cubs are going to be happy to get that reliever. But what are the Cubs going to do here, Cheese? They have added, hold on, let me go back to the screen here. They have added to their major league roster here just in the past few moments. So one reliever, Braxton Garrett probably won't be on the major league roster. Gossman's going to have to be on the major league roster. And then now they've got so Tyrone Taylor is going to be on the roster, plus the pitcher they just got from the Mets. I mean, you're going to have 4 people that you're going to have to add to the 40-man.
There's spots. There's some players that need to go. Yeah, there's some players that need to go. Well, some of the guys they traded were on the 40-man roster, though. So some of the guys, they traded. Yeah,
Ballesteros probably was.
Ballesteros, Jonathan Long, who went to the Marlins, he was on there too.
Okay.
But Tyrone Taylor, real quick, he is very good against left-hand pitching. And you know who sucks against left-hand pitching is Ian Happ. I think Ian Happ is only going to play against righties now. He's a switch hitter who has been terrible against left-hand pitching. Tyrone Taylor is probably going to start in left field when there's a lefty, and then when they bring in a righty, then they'll put Happ in there, and he's better. Happ is so good defensively. So I think this says a lot about Ian Happ. I think he's going to lose some at-bats here. But, yeah, Taylor he's one of those guys that terrible against right-hand pitching, but he kills lefties like Lane Thomas for the Braves. So that's it. But if you had told me they got Clay Holmes or Jefferson Rojas, I would have been like, oh man, you give up your second best prospect for Holmes. That's good, but they got the bat too, so that makes me happy. At least they got 2 players for 1.
Okay, the other side of Chicago. So I read a lot about Chris Getz, the GM there with Chicago White Sox. I like this team. I'm trying to get a couple of guests on that are with the Chicago White Sox, and if there's anybody listening to us that are, please direct message me. I would love to have someone on this show talking about the Chicago White Sox. I love their brand of baseball. I love all these young kids. I'm really kind of getting into this team, and let's talk about what they have added. First of all, they acquired Jaden Woods, and his last name is Woods, not Wood like the other guy in Washington. And they got the number 34 pick in the draft from the Pirates. So not only are they getting all these people, they got another pick. It's weird how they're just loading this farm system up. They got Jose Urquidy from the Pirates as well. Here's what they wanted to do. These top 3 moves. I kept hearing from Chris Getz. I want to get a starter, I want to get a reliever, and I want to get a good defensive outfielder, and I don't want to give up any of my top 20 prospects. And he stared right into the microphone and said it. And when he did, I thought, yeah, right. That is never going to happen. Ladies and gentlemen, they gave up Sir Anthony Dominguez, Nolan Jones, and Boston Smith. None of them are top 20 prospects for Luis Castillo from the Mariners. But, Cheese, they had to pay the entire salary for this year and next year.
Yeah.
So that's what they did, right? They said, okay, we've got money. We'll pay the salary, but we don't want to give up any of our big-time prospects. Is that a way to build a club?
This is of all the trades, this is one I absolutely would not have done. I don't care what you give up. Luis Castillo has not been good this year. He's gotten worse every year for several years now. You have to pay him. Uh,
$24 million next year.
I am shocked. I would not have done that. The White Sox have acquired Joey Bart from the Braves. There you go.
Oh, there we go.
I figured that he was gone anyway. Yeah. Okay. Sean Murphy will be back, and he'll back up Drake Baldwin. But
that's interesting for me as a Reds fan because that takes away one of the spots where I thought maybe Tyler Stevenson would go. That's interesting.
What were we just talking about? Oh, the White Sox. Yeah, Luis Castillo. That's of all the trades. There's so much better pitching prospects out there. Of course, you have to give up more, but that's a lot of money for an organization that's been very cheap for a long time now.
So, throat. Sorry about that. Do you think they brought in Luis Castillo not just to pitch for them, but also maybe because they've got a lot of young pitchers and he is a veteran and experienced pitcher that can help out some of those young guys?
No, I'm sure that's part of it. Yeah, I'm sure that's definitely part of it as well. That's great for the Mariners to jump that salary because Mariners have pitching. Their problem is they need bats. That's not the problem. They just probably wanted someone just take him. So, yeah.
Yeah, and they got somebody to do it. And that, taking that money away from them allowed them to make some moves that they've made today. We'll talk about that as we continue here with our trade deadline special of the Lights Out Sports podcast. Let's stick with the Chicago White Sox for a moment. They got a reliever, Braziban from the Mets. They gave up Gabe Davis and Zach Franklin, two guys that, again, are not in their top 20. So they got the reliever that they wanted. Not a great reliever, but they got a reliever. Let me give you some numbers on Braziban here real fast. With the Mets, righty. So far this season, he is, I went too far. He's got a 2.56 ERA. He's been in 46 games, 52 innings, given up 30 hits, only 16 runs, only 3 home runs as well. And he's got a better than 2-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio, 23 walks, 49 strikes. So I think this is a pretty good get for them. Is he was he the best reliever out there or something like that? No. But I think, again, for what the White Sox wanted to do, they're already in the driver's seat, right? They're in first place in that division. And they're almost playing with house money right now because I don't think anybody really expected them to be where they are. So they're paying big money for a starter. They went out and got a decent reliever and didn't give up a whole lot for him, and they still made one other move. But what do you think about Braziban, Cheese?
I'll be honest, before he made the move, I really didn't know much about him. So
no, that's fine. I know you're the football guy. You're the football guy.
There are players that have been traded. I'd say about a handful of players that have been traded that I either had barely heard of, or a couple I haven't at all. So I don't know much about him. You can probably tell me much more about him than I
can. I just gave you all the numbers. There's no need to really dive into him a whole lot. But I personally like him. Is he going to be a closer? No, but I think he can be one of those guys that eats some innings in the center. He can be your 6, 7, 8 guy, but he's not probably going to be your closer at the end. But again, he's an innings type eater. Then they turned around and they got, and myself and our buddy from far end of the bench, we just talked about this trade in the first segment of the show when we talked all about the Rockies. If you're a big Rockies guy or you want to know more about that organization, rewind this back and listen to the first hour or so of the show. We went in depth on the Colorado Rockies, and they made a trade today. They traded Brenton Doyle to the Chicago White Sox, and they got Mason Adams, a pretty good pitcher in their system, but he is recovering from Tommy John. And then they got a minor league kid that's playing in the Dominican Summer League, but is really, really good. He's only 16 years old and plays 3 different infield positions. So the Rockies did something that they've kind of been known for. They went out and got a pitcher that they don't really know a whole lot about. They got a hitter who is going to be in their system. We talked about it in the first hour. They've got a lot of good kids. In fact, 16 of their top 30 prospects are either in rookie ball, A ball, or high A. And Carlos Velma, the guy they got from the White Sox, kind of fits into that mold. So, Cheese, do you understand? I think this is one of those deals that's good for both teams. So do you understand this deal now a little more?
Yeah, Doyle, defense. This is a defensive trade.
Yes,
they want an elite defensive center fielder that's got great range, that can go out and get those balls and help the pitching, because his bat is just not that great. You can't hit in Coors Field. You're not getting him for the bat. So this is all about having an elite defensive center fielder, and he is very good out there. And if you're the Rockies, at this point, I know I was listening to some of you guys earlier. You just got to get younger. You've got to get the farm system better. You've just got to build up your organization.
Yes, you do. You got to build up that farm system. Next will be the Cincinnati Reds as we keep going in alphabetical order here. They have not made any deals either. I'm a little disappointed in that. And in fact, I was reading earlier that it looks like they're not even going to trade Brady Singer now, that the plan is to keep him and then offer arbitration to him at the end of the season.
Well, he's been really good of late.
He's been good. They're only 5.5 games out of the last wild card spot all of a sudden. So I don't know what they're thinking. I don't know if I agree with this or not. I think you trade your Reynolds, and the guy that I really wanted, we're going to talk about in a second. Cleveland got him, and I was really, really disappointed when I heard it earlier today. He was the guy that I wanted the Reds to go out and get.
Breaking news real quick.
Give it to us, buddy.
Helio Ramos goes from the Giants to the Yankees. Outfielder Helio Ramos. It was rumored that they were shopping him. Yankees get him. The Yankees fans are freaking out on X when the Red Sox making all these moves, so maybe they'll be a little happier now.
Maybe, but they, you got to remember the Yankees are without Carlos Stanton. The Yankees are without Aaron Judge right at the moment. So even a Helio Ramos, if he's just there until Judge comes back to kind of fill that spot, they need guys right at the moment that could just kind of fill spots until the sluggers that they paid millions for come back. So we'll see how all that works out. Again, the Reds have not made any moves. They got a ton of relievers that they could trade. They got Brock Burke. They got Johnson that the Braves used to have. You've got, I'm trying to think, there's a couple more that they could trade off. Anyway, those names all slipped my mind. I think I'm really surprised that Tyler Stevenson's not been dealt yet. If they completely stay pat, Cheese and I talked about this when we were saying with the Diamondbacks. Maybe it's just the teams that I like that they're going to do this. I don't want them to do anything, right? Or excuse me, I don't want them to do nothing. They need to do something. Either buy something and say, okay, we're going to go for it, or sell everybody off and say, we'll be better next year. But for you to just kind of stand pat and do nothing would upset me more than anything else.
That's the worst thing you could do. That's the worst thing you can do is do nothing, or just do one little token move and get a player that is like a league average player and then give up a prospect for him. That just to do something. That's the worst. Buy or sell. And I think the Reds, they have some pieces. They don't need a big sell-off, but they're free agents. They should be selling every single person as a free agent of the year. They should be selling Brady Singer. Absolutely. What's his name? Brock. What's that reliever's name?
Burke.
They should be selling him. They should absolutely, because they're not going to make the postseason. Even if they go on a run, it's still, they have to pass so many teams. So I'm definitely shocked that they're not. And there were people calling about Hunter Green. Those did not go well. This I think they click.
Yes, I would hang up on those people unless you're going to give me half of your team. I'm keeping Hunter.
Well, I heard the rumor that they may have been listening, and then the rumor the next day was like, oh no, they're telling teams don't even call. So someone just made that up, or you know how they do. They make stuff up all the time.
Yeah. The one that was interesting to me with the Reds was the fact that, and I got it from a pretty good source, that the Milwaukee Brewers were trying to get Hunter Green. I was like, what? So they better not trade him to the Milwaukee Brewers. I'll be really upset if that happens.
There's no way. No, that's not happening.
But you got to remember, the Brewers have one of the top farm systems in baseball. The Reds have plenty of pitching, and they need bats. So that's kind of where that whole thing started. But I still don't think it would happen. I'm with you, but it scared me. I didn't like it.
Oh, it's scary when you hear it. Sure. But interdivisional trades like that, you just be so dumb. It just, and if you are shop or you're listening to Hunter Green, there's someone's going to offer. I mean, it's not like one team's going to offer so much more than anyone else. You can find another team that will give you a lot for Hunter Green.
Yes,
you don't
absolutely.
have to trade him to the Brewers. But Brewers have one of the best prospects in baseball. God, why is his name escaping me?
Jesus Made, right?
Made, yeah. I'd ask for him and then more. And
yes,
they won't do that.
No. So yeah, that's interesting there. I think that's one of the reasons why the Baltimore people are a little upset is because of that trade being intra-division as well. But we'll move on alphabetically here for a moment. Cheese, let's go to the Cleveland Guardians. So they got Ryan Dreggs from the Phillies just for some international pool money. They acquired Blake Perkins and Craig. I love the guy's name. I can't wait to, if he sticks with him and I get to go to spring training this year, I can't wait to yell it from the stands. Craig Yoho from the Brewers for Bo Naylor and Cody Hewer, I believe is how you say it. And then the trade that just
that one kind of snuck. Real quick, that trade was like I missed it and then like saw it this morning. I don't know, it just kind of glossed over. But that's a pretty interesting trade.
It is actually, especially with Bo Naylor being involved, and you got the other Naylor brother and everything else there.
Yeah, Cody Hewer is bounced around teams. He was a White Sox, then he was a Cub. I mean, he's bounced around teams. I don't think that's a big get. But Bo Naylor, getting Bo Naylor is really interesting. I'm surprised more people aren't talking about that trade.
And it may be something you could talk about before it's all said and done. This is the guy that I wanted. He's really good friends with Hunter Green. I've seen them go back and forth on social media and stuff like that, and I thought this guy would be perfect for the Cincinnati Reds. And all the Guardians gave up was Jacob Kozarp, who is a pretty good prospect, a catcher for them. But they got Joe Adele from the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. Joe Adele is going to make a big-time splash in Cleveland. I'll get you the stats here. Talk to me about what you think about Joe Adele.
Well, Joe Adele, I was going to ask you his stats. That's funny. He was like one of the best. What? I'm
going to get him for us. Hang on 1 second.
He was one of the best prospects in baseball at one point. I mean, he was supposed to be that can't miss, and he struggled for years, but he kills lefties. He doesn't hit them well. He kills them. Yeah, anytime you bring a lefty up, you can put him in the order. That's how well he hits lefties.
So let's
probably unplayable against righties though. But
well, let's look at his stats, right? So now Joe Adele goes to the Guardians, and now that he is added to the team, he is first in home runs on that team with 16. He's now first in RBIs on that team, 62.
First in home runs is 16. Oh,
yes.
No. They need it bad.
Their offense is anemic, Cheese. It really, really is.
They have one good hitter, Jose Ramirez, and no one else. Okay.
Yes. So he all of a sudden becomes first in home runs with 16. He becomes first in RBIs with 62, and he becomes first in hits with 102 on that team. And he's not even hit for him yet. And as you're saying, versus left-handed pitching, he's second in the league in average, 303. He's second in the league in OPS at 909. On base plus slugging percentage, 909. He's hit 10 of his 16 home runs off of left-handed pitching, which is first in the league. And he is first in RBIs off of left-handed pitching as well, 29 of his 62 off of left-handed pitching. So, yes, he hits lefties really, really well.
He mashes them, yeah. And if you never know, in the postseason, you could have a 3-game series, 5-game series. The opposing team has 2 lefties, and then becomes a huge get for them. And that's who you wanted, Adele.
I wanted Adele for the Reds. I really thought that he would work out. They need another bat, and him and Hunter Green are really, really good friends. So I was hoping that if they would both come aboard, then they would sign both of them to long-term deals, and yay, right?
Yeah, it says the Astros have discussed Foster Griffin, but I've heard the Nationals are probably going to hold on to him.
That'll be interesting too. I'm not looking at anything else. So, Cheese, that's all you, buddy. I'm going alphabetical order here on another website. Actually, I'll mention them, MLBTradeRumors.com. I like the site really well, so that's where I'm at right at the moment. So that's what the Guardians have done. We talked about the Rockies. We'll just kind of glaze over them. We talked about them in the first segment. We'll move on to the Detroit Tigers. They got a guy named Woo Suk Go, WOOSUKGO. Yeah.
I'm glad I didn't have to pronounce that.
It's not We Suck Go, it's Woo Suck Go. And they actually also they gave him to the Twins. The Twins now have Woo Suck Go. I'm gonna have to say that name a bunch.
Okay.
And then they acquired Zane Barnhart. They got JoJo Ingracia from the Red Sox. And, of course, the big one, they finally did it. They traded Tarek Skubal, Zaire Hope, River Ryan, Brady Smith.
Yeah, I
You
can
want to
talk
talk about
Hope.
the Skubal trade for a minute?
Yeah, I can talk about Hope. So
Me too.
the Cubs needed a first baseman a couple years ago, and they need a left-handed hitter too. And Michael Busch was blocked by Freddie Freeman.
Mm-hmm.
But the Dodgers, they do this. This is why they're one of the reasons they're so good besides spending money. They are good at finding talent. I don't know how they are, but they do. The Cubs had just drafted an 11th round pick named Zaire Hope out of high school. He was not a top 100 prospect. He was probably borderline top 20 prospect in the Cubs organization. And they included him in the trade. He wasn't even the best prospect in the trade. A pitcher, Jackson Ferris, was the Cubs' second round pick that year before. And the trade looked like an absolute steal for the Cubs. And then Zaire Hope 2 years later is a top 50 prospect. What the heck? So because they found him somehow, they were able to flip him and get Tarek Skubal. It's just I don't know how the Dodgers do this. A lot of their top 50 prospects are third or fourth round picks, 10th round picks, stuff like that. They do this. So he's got a lot of power. He's got a ton of raw power, Zaire Hope.
Well, J-Lo, we'll talk about them more if they make another trade. We spent
We've talked
probably
about them a lot.
right. We have talked about the Red Sox a lot, so you're just late to the party. But we talked about them quite
Red
a bit
Sox
so
have
far.
been so good over the last month. They really have been amazing.
And we will talk about them tomorrow too, because again, I mentioned this at the very beginning of the show. I want to talk about how the Red Sox went to LA and swept the Dodgers, something that kind of got swept under the rug because of all of these trade deadline deals that are going on right at the moment. But we'll talk about them tomorrow night on the Lights Out Sports Podcast. What time tomorrow night, Cheese? Because you know I'm going to screw the times up.
9 Eastern, 6 Pacific, and 6 Arizona time for you.
All right. That's the most important thing. 6 Arizona time, as Cheese smiles over there. He knows what's important.
Well, it's Arizona's got it right. They don't change the time. It's so dumb that other places do. So Arizona's the one that's right.
All right. So the Tigers, we'll talk a little bit more about this trade tomorrow. I'm with you. I hear a lot of people are mispronouncing his name, by the way. It really is Zaire. Zyhir. Trust me, I've talked to him. He was in the Arizona Fall League last year, and because he's out here with the Dodgers, I've talked to him a few times. I've never got his autograph. I didn't get a chance to do that, but he would talk on the on-deck circle to me at the Arizona Fall League games. Great prospect. He is going to be a superstar. And River Ryan, honestly, is probably going to be a really good pitcher for the Tigers as well. Not sure if he'll be Tarek Skubal, number one type guy, but he'll be more Casey Mize. 2 or 3 pitcher in your rotation. So for those people who are like, oh, they didn't get enough for him, ladies and gentlemen, Tarek Skubal's a 2-month rental, and they got 2 really good prospects plus a throw-in, Brady Smith from the Dodgers. So yes, they did. They got a lot for it.
So the Tigers, I'm surprised. There's 45 minutes to go, but Kenley Jansen, Gleyber Torres, and Casey Mize, I think, are all free agents end of the year. They need to flip them and get what they can. Casey Mize, the problem with him, he's been so good this year. His velocity has gone down to last start was 90, 91. He's usually 93, 94. That's going to scare off teams. Mm-hmm. But you've got to, obviously they traded Skubal. I mean, they're not going to win. Even if they somehow get in the playoffs, which very unlikely, they're not going to win without Skubal. So they need to be shopping those guys and see what you can get for them, because they're not going to give any of them, maybe Mize, the qualifying offer. Not Torres already got one. Jansen, they're not doing it. So I'm surprised they haven't traded more.
I'm gonna make this prediction right now. the Tigers will trade Casey Mize and Kenley Jensen to the Arizona Diamondbacks. I'm gonna make that prediction before the end of the trade deadline that trade will happen. Paul Sewald is out as the closer. I watched him give up 5 runs without recording an out 2 nights ago. They're probably going to DFA him.
Is that not good?
No, that's not good. So they need a starter and a reliever, and I think Detroit can give them both. And I talked about it a couple shows ago. I think I talked about it on the last show when we had our Diamondbacks guy on from Locked On Diamondbacks. I would love to have the first baseman as well. Hang on, his name slips my mind. From Arizona State. Torkelson.
Torkelson. Oh, yeah.
Torkelson. Yeah, so I would love to have him as well. All right, let's go Houston Astros, the team that you have the cup for.
Tyler Stevenson? What if you think they should trade for Stevenson? No?
The Diamondbacks?
Yeah, why not? They need a bat. He can play first, right?
He could play first, but if you're going to trade for somebody from the Reds, I think you'd rather have Nathaniel Lowe. Play first base for them, hits lefties really well.
That's who I meant.
Yeah, that's okay. It's all right. Again, you're the football guy.
I'm sharper at night for some reason.
It's okay, buddy. It's okay.
Yeah, Nathaniel Lowe, that would make a lot of sense, that trade there. How about Brady Singer, Nathaniel Lowe to the Diamondbacks? I'm calling it.
Okay. I like it. I like that we're making calls here. That's good. We're putting our GM hats on and we're making our own calls here. Let's move to the Houston Astros for a moment. I'm not going to talk about the 2 bottom trades where they got just cash for people. Let's go with Jaden Fielder from the Brewers for Lance McCullers Jr., who, by the way, they've already DFA'd, and Colton Gordon. Then they got Max Martin from the Royals for Nate Pearson. And then, of course, the one that you love. Let's talk about this one. I'm going to talk about what they gave up, but they got Dalton Varsho from the Blue Jays. Tell us about Dalton Varsho. Whew, he used to be a Diamondback too. Tell us about Dalton. I can't even say his name. Dalton Varsho, and I will tell you about Spencer Arrighetti.
Well, yeah, like you mentioned, he is a center fielder. He's won a Gold Glove before, but more importantly, he's a left-handed bat. Astros have needed outfield bats and left-handed for like 2 or 3 years now. So, and they just haven't gotten one. They finally did. That was just huge for them. And as you know, you've been to, well, it's called Dakin now, but Minute Maid Park, I can still call it. It's a very small left field, but it's a huge center field. So, yes. It's just a big get for them, and they've had a real great last couple of weeks. They're back in first place, so it was just their biggest need for sure.
And Houston's kind of in a crazy spot right now because last week it was the Rangers that were in first place, and even I was like, okay, here are the Rangers. They're going to come out of nowhere and they're going to do this, and they've started selling off everybody today. So that's kind of crazy to me. And the only team that's really there that I think is going to challenge them now is Seattle, who you and I both picked would win this division. Now I'm not sure, especially if the Houston Astros make a couple of moves here and get themselves stronger. This could be really interesting.
Look, what's killed the Mariners is Cal Riley. It's just killed their offense. Their offense hasn't been good besides that, but that they weren't counting on him going from 60 homers to being one of the worst hitters in baseball. That's a story for another day.
Yeah, you can't take drugs 2 years in a row, sir.
But Spencer Arrighetti, he just hasn't had a good year. But it's one of those that's like he's better than he's pitched, and the Blue Jays know it, so they're going to try to like fix him, or maybe it's mechanical. I don't know. I don't know for sure, but it just makes sense for most teams. This trade, Varsho for Arrighetti, and he probably is just not going to be part of the Astros postseason rotation anyway.
Yeah, so he's 7-5 right now with a 4.60 ERA in 17 games.
Okay, 4.60. That's not too bad.
That's not terrible. He's given up 68 hits. He's only had 45 earned runs in those 68 hits. He's given up 12 home runs. It's a little high. 50 walks, 87 strikeouts. So you don't have that 2-to-1 ratio that I like to see in pitchers. but he's only 26 years old, and he's only been in the league for 3 years. So I like him. I think he could be, and to your credit as well, he in his last 5 games, they've lost 4 of them and only won 1 of them. So maybe the Astros have just kind of soured on him a little bit, and they said, you know what, we need a really good center fielder, and this is the trade we want to make.
Yeah, Peter Lambert's been so good for them, and I don't see a spot for Eric getting the postseason anyway. So if he's going to be like a long reliever in the postseason, why not make this trade and fill your biggest need? So, yeah, it's one of those trades that, probably both teams, fans are going to be really happy about, and both think they've won.
So the Royals, that'll be the next one. They got Ricky Martin Jr. for cash. They got Easton McGee from the Brewers, 2 people I don't know a lot about. They acquired Nate Pearson from the Astros for Max Martin. They got cash for Cameron Mincer. They got Carter Holton and Lucas Braun from the Braves for the Lane Thomas and Bailey Falter deal. We talked about that trade already. And then they got Carlos Duran from the Dodgers for Chris Bubic. I can't believe that the Dodgers think they need another pitcher, but they went out and got lefty Chris Bubic from the Royals as well.
That one is very puzzling to me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who Carlos Duran is of these prospects. Most of them I've never, a lot of them I haven't heard of, and I try to follow the minor leagues, but he better have some really good stuff. He's very young, I think, but because Bubic, he's good. I mean, last year he was really good for the Royals. I don't know if looks like he's signed through next year. He's controllable through next year. So
yes,
they better hope that he's really good. Otherwise, I know Bubic, I think the knock on him is he's hurt a lot. That's probably why they didn't get a huge return.
So this Carlos Duran, I'm looking him up here. He's only 17 years old. He's currently playing in the Dominican Summer League. He has a 10.62 ERA. 20 innings he's pitched so far, 31 hits in 20 innings, 32 runs. He hasn't given up any home runs, but he has walked 22 and only struck out 16. So, what? It's like, what? What are you doing, Kansas City? Maybe they see something that we don't see in the stats, but
Lucas Braun they got in the Braves deal.
Mm-hmm.
That's a decent prospect. I think the Braves trade him because I think he's going to end up in the bullpen. The other pitcher, Carter Holton's not been very good. I don't think at one point he was a top 30 prospect. I think he dropped off. But Lucas Braun, I think, could be a really good righty reliever down the line. So I don't think that's, for Lane Thomas and Bailey Falter, that's not bad getting them. But the one Bubic one, I don't know, whatever his name is. Yeah. That one doesn't really make a lot of sense if this pitcher ends up being great. Who knows? He's really young. I'm just surprised. And the Dodgers, he's controllable through next year. So they got a pitcher next year. And good Lord.
Right. Let's move to the Angels because the Angels have made some crazy trades. The Angels got some Angels for the Angels. They got Angel Arenado from the Rangers in a trade. They also
real quick, I got breaking news. Brewers have acquired Colorado Rockies right-handed reliever Antonio Senzatella. That's a big move for the Brewers. I don't like that at all, but that's really smart for the Brewers. Hopefully, they have to give up a lot.
It'll be interesting to see what the get back is. As we were talking with our Rockies guy in the beginning, we were saying that they seem to be building up their lower level farm system. So it'll be interesting where in the farm system chain it falls for who they got back. That'll be what I'm interested in that trade more than anything else. So like I said, the Angels got 2 Angels. You got Angel Arenado, you got Angel Rivera. They've acquired several players, and the ones they got today, Jacob Cozart from the Guardians in the Joe Adell trade. They got Nacho Alvarez Jr. From the Braves for Brent Suter that we talked about earlier. And then, of course, they got Moises Ballesteros and Mason McGuire, the son of Mark, for Ryan Zephyrdjian. So, that's what the Angels have done today. Let's look at the other L.A. team. They got Seth Halverson from the Rockies. We talked about that earlier When I was talking with far end of the bench, a co-host as well, we talked Tarek Skubal. We've already mentioned that trade. The guy they keep getting over and over and over again for some reason, they got Ben Wartelvit, I believe is how you say his last name, the catcher. They've traded for him 3 straight seasons in a row, but all they did was give up a guy they DFA'd earlier in the week anyway. And then, of course, they got Chris Bubich. We've talked about all of that, so let's keep going for a second, Cheese. Miami Marlins, they acquired Brendan Taylor, Adrian Santana, and Jacob Kissling from the Rays for Liam Hicks. This could be a big trade for the Rays. Liam Hicks, the catcher.
I missed that one. God, there's just so many trades. I didn't know that. Yeah, Liam Hicks. I'm surprised they trade him because he's pretty young, right?
He is. He's 27 years old. I'm looking at his numbers right now. He's got a 2.5 WAR, wins above replacement. He's had 409 plate appearances this year with 100 hits, 9 doubles, a triple, 14 home runs, 62 RBIs, and he's stolen 3 bases. He's walked more than he's struck out, barely, but he's walked 40 times, struck out 39 times, and he has a 282 batting average. So, yeah.
I hope they got a big return. I don't know these prospects. I don't know the Rays system very well, but I hope they got some good prospect from him. That's a really strange trade.
He's a left-handed batting catcher, so
the Marlins are like a couple games out of like the wild card, right?
Yes, they're there, but are they there? Kind of, they're kind of like the Pirates and the Reds. They're there, but are they
kinda
there?
like the Twins, Twins too. Yeah.
And then we talked about the trade they made earlier for the Cubs. They gave up Braxton Garrett, the move that you have very expertly said it's for next year more than anything else. And they got Jonathan Long and Jace Beck back. Now, we'll move on to the Brewers for a moment. This won't include the new trade. We'll talk about that more than likely here in a few moments. They got Brandon Shoemake from the Astros. They acquired Cash for Easton McGee. We talked about the Lance McCullers Jr. trade earlier. We also talked about the Bo Naylor trade earlier. I want to talk about this one. They got Dustin May and JoJo Romero from the Cardinals. This is a good trade for the Brewers as well. Not that I want the Brewers to make good trades, but if they're going to do it, they depleted the Cardinals a little bit. So what do you think about this interdivision trade, Cheese?
Yeah, I didn't see the return, but
Alexander Frias and Josiah.
Well, I mean, it's just like I don't know if they're.
You talk. I'll look them up.
Well, it says here high ceiling altitude products. When it says high ceiling, means they need a lot of work. They're probably pretty young. So, yeah, one of them's 18 at least.
Mm-hmm. I'm looking up Alexander Frias right now. He's 18. He's with the ACL League for the Brewers, which is the Arizona Complex League. That's the bottom league. 137 plate appearances. He's got 33 runs, 52 hits, 12 doubles, 2 triples, only 4 home runs, but he does have 34 RBIs, and he's stolen 12 bases. So,
well, JoJo Romero has been a very good lefty reliever for the Cardinals. I think he's controllable through one more year after this year. I don't know. It's tough to tell here. 2027 free agency, does that mean they're going to be a free agent end of this year, or I don't know. But Dustin May has been real up and down. He's had games where he looks like he'd be dominant. He's had games where he's been roughed up. But somehow Brewers take pitchers like that and then make them look like all-stars. So, but he's bounced around Dodgers, Red Sox, Cardinals, now Brewers, like 4 teams in 3 years. So maybe they can get the most out of him.
Yeah, so Dustin May, to answer your question, is an absolute rental. He signed let me get the exacts here. He signed a 1-year, $12 million deal with the Cardinals. There is a mutual option, so that means both the pitcher and the team must agree to it. It's a $20 million mutual option. I doubt that would be picked up by the Brewers. So he's truly a 1-year deal. And then the other guy that they traded away, both these guys are young. The other guy is 22. He's spent 1 season in single A, 1 season in high A, 1 season this year in double A. He's 26 years old. Let's see here.
He's got some really good stats, and
He does actually.
as you know, that Double-A, like the Southern League, is the best pitching league in minors.
Yes,
so
and he's got some good.
If someone hits if you hit in the Southern League, you're probably going to hit. Probably a good prospect. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to get the video to close over
It looks
top.
like a pretty good return for two. Roy Romero is a free agent of the year. I figured out when it says 2027 free agent, that means the end of this year. So 2 rentals, that's a pretty good get there for the Cardinals. I really like this trade for them. And they were kind of in it for a while, but I think they knew. Like, they're still at least probably a year away. Even they got 2 really good young players in Weatherholt and Walker.
Mason Wynn.
Well, I was thinking Jordan Walker, J.J. Weatherholt. But yeah, Wynn as well. Yeah.
So, I mean, just to look at Josiah Ragsdale's stats here. This season in Double-A, he's been, 119 plate appearances. He's got 28 runs, 28 hits. Wild that he's got both. 3 home runs, but he's got. No, I'm sorry. That's incorrect. 28 home runs, 28 hits. Daggone it. 12 home runs, 21 RBIs, and he's stolen 7 bases as well. Batting .292 in that league. That's a really good pitchers league. So, yeah, I agree with you. If you can hit there, you can hit pretty much anywhere, right?
Yeah. Southern League, I've seen this over the years. My Braves and Cubs are both in the Southern League. You have guys are killing it in High A, and then they go to Double-A, and the ballparks, bigger, more pitching friendly, and they just have these huge slumps. So, yeah, if you can hit in Double-A in the Southern League, you're probably a pretty good prospect. Especially, he might have been hitting over 300. I can't remember now. I've already closed it.
It's all right. Well, you are right on top of all this stuff. I'm looking at my Twitter, and the stuff that you mentioned 10, 15 minutes ago is already taken.
Well, I have MLB Network on, and they just every time it breaks, they come on there.
Your Braves have also traded Eli White to the Red Sox, by the way. I don't know if you had seen that or not, but
I wasn't even going to mention. I mean, when they traded for Lane Thomas, his spot on the roster is pretty much gone. They just got a AAA reliever basically from the Red Sox. It was just 1-for-1. Red Sox probably needed a 4th or 5th outfielder. Eli White, he's just not very good.
Yeah. So also, I want to mention Anubis Sports because they just redid some stuff for us. They're posting about us. We got a good relationship with them. They include our podcast in a lot of the stuff that they write about, which we certainly appreciate. And they're going to be doing that again tomorrow when we talk about some of the contracts that are kind of overinflated. And tomorrow night show, MLB deferred contracts. We are going to talk about the deferred money. We will have a chart that will tell you every team's deferred money over the next few seasons, and you'll kind of be surprised. You shouldn't be surprised who number 1 is, but you might be surprised who 2, 3, 4, and 5 are, and how much money all of those teams have deferred as well. We'll talk about that tomorrow on the Lights Out Sports Podcast. Let's talk about a team, Cheese, that we haven't even mentioned, I don't think, yet. The Minnesota Twins. Well, we did because they got Woo-Suk Go, one of the two, from the Tigers. We had to mention that one more time. They got Tommy Nance from the Blue Jays. They got A.J. Minter, a really good reliever from the Mets, and they also got a starting pitcher, Dean Kramer, from the Orioles. So they're one of those teams, Cheese, that's there, and they're thinking, okay, we'll make a few moves and see if we can push it all in and maybe get a wild card spot. Are you okay with a team like the Twins saying we're not sure if we can win the whole thing, but we at least want to get into the playoffs?
I don't think they're going to get in. I don't think they have a good enough team. And give up any prospects? No, I think I would have kind of did what the Cardinals are doing: sell my rentals and just build through next year and after that. I don't love what the Twins have done necessarily. I mean, AJ Minter too. His hip could break at any moment, so I don't love it.
All right. So the Mets, they've made several moves today. And yesterday and a few days before, they got Cole Mathis from the Cubs for David Peterson. They got Matt Schlesinger from the Tigers for cash. They got Billy Amick and another guy who I'm going to butcher his name, so I just won't say it. They got some other players, Gary Gill Hill from the Rays for the Freddie Peralta deal. We've not talked about that. Freddie Peralta to the Rays. Yes? No? Maybe?
God, if that Freddie Peralta from last year shows up, it's the best trade here. But he just has. I don't know if it's the Brewers or what, but somehow Corbin Burns was much better for the Brewers. Peralta was. When you're in Milwaukee, they get the most out of you. Go somewhere else, and you're not very good. I don't know what it is. He just wasn't as good with the Mets. So maybe the Rays can get him back to last year's form. If they do, great. If he pitches like he did with the Mets, it's not really that great of a deal because he hasn't been pitching well.
Yeah, he's 30 years old. This year with the Mets, he's got a 4.99 ERA in 22 games, 120 hits. He's given up 71 runs, 17 home runs. He's walked 48, struck out 113. Some of those stats just are not good whatsoever. And if you look at his wins above replacement, it's WAR. He is minus 0.2, and his record is 5-9. So not a good year, but we've also always said that Tampa Bay can do some crazy stuff with some crazy people, so maybe they'll be able to turn that around.
Yeah, I mean, Tampa Bay, they're first in the East. They're ahead of the Yankees. So, I like their other move a little better, but, yeah, maybe. They're a well-run organization. They develop prospects well. I know he's a veteran, but maybe they can get the most out of him.
Brooks Raley, the Mets got Brooks. Let's see, they got two guys. When they traded Brooks Raley to the Phillies, we'll talk about the Phillies in a moment because they've made some really good moves. We haven't really talked about them. They traded away the catcher to the Dodgers that we already talked about, and they traded away Luke Weaver to the Pirates as well.
Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you. Big trade. The Nationals are trading Foster Griffin to the Cleveland Guardians. God, I almost said Indians. That's a big one. Cleveland going after a pitcher. Okay.
Yeah, like they don't have enough. It's like the Dodgers going after a pitcher.
I wonder if Foster Griffin is a rental.
He is. Foster Griffin is a rental.
Then of course you got to trade him. There was a rumor that they might hold on to him. It's like, why? Yeah. And he's been great in a moment, it's crazy. Whenever guys like go to Japan and then come back and they're an all-star, it's just like every other team is like, why didn't you sign him? So they basically signed a guy from Japan and flipped him for prospects. It's a good job for the Nationals.
Yeah, absolutely.
A team I do not like at all.
Well, let's talk about this guy. Let me give you his stats first. He's a 2.2 WAR. He in 357 at bats. He's got 101 hits, 20 doubles, 5 triples, 23 home runs, 76 RBIs, and has stolen 4 bases. He's slugging .560, by the way, and batting .283. Do you know who he is? He was traded today.
That's not Liam Hicks.
I'm sorry?
It sounds like something like Liam Hicks, but I know we already talked about him.
Luis Garcia Jr. was traded from the Washington Nationals. To the New York Yankees.
I love that move for the Yankees. I think he leads the National League in slugging.
He does.
Yes.
That's
a really good move for the Yankees. Yeah. He doesn't walk a lot. He's kind of a free swinger, but he's lefty hitter, so he probably fits versus a lot of lefties. But he's really good. I like that move for the Yankees.
Well, when you say he doesn't walk a lot, he's had 374 plate appearances and he's walked 16 times. So doesn't walk a lot. Might be generous.
He does sit versus some lefties. So when he says leads the league in slugging percentage, he's protected a lot. Like I said, he just plays mostly against righties. But still, that's a really good move for the Yankees. I like that.
Yeah. And then they gave up Camilo Doval to the Yankees to the Pirates, and the Reds smacked him around his first appearance with them. So we'll see how that trade ends up working out for both sides. Today, the Phillies got Luis Ariz and Caleb Killian from the Giants from Mason Rodriguez and Marty Gair, Gair. I'm not sure about the return, but what do you think about this, Cheese? We need to talk about this a little bit. Luis Ariz is going to go to the Phillies. And as we discussed earlier, Luis Ariza said, I am only playing second base. So the Phillies are shuffling everything they're doing. Ariza is going to go to second. They're going to have their second baseman, Bryson Stott, that's his name. He's going to go to third. Bohm is going to go from third to first, and Bryce Harper is going to go to the outfield. What do you think about a team making all of these moves just so they can add a player at the trade deadline?
Twins to acquire Jeff Hoffman. Wow, they probably had to give up a lot.
Rockies.
Hoffman's really, really good strikeout reliever.
Yeah, he just pitched a complete game yesterday or the day before, one of the two.
The Twins have acquired like 8 pitchers.
That's what they need.
So, I've lost it. We're talking
Luis
about
Ariza.
Luis Ariza. No, the Phillies defense stinks. It's probably going to make it worse. It's not a good defensive team at all. I don't like shuffling 4 spots at this point in the year. I know that, Bombs played first before, and I know that Harper was a right fielder for many years, but still, like, I like the bat. I like Harper. They needed a bat. They really did. And he doesn't strike out ever, so they could use that because they strike out a lot. But I don't like the shuffling around. I think their defense could be a huge problem in the postseason. But Caleb Killian, talk about him real quick. He was a Cubs prospect, came over in the Chris Bryant to the Giants trade, and Cubs were so excited about him. And then he just could not, in AAA, he could not stop walking people. He was all over the place, hitting batters. He lost his control. They gave up on him. Giants like, we'll take him back again, and they made him like really good. And so, anyway, he's been very good this year. He throws really hard. That's a big get. Great trade there for the Phillies.
Yeah, they've made some. They've made some trades, and I like what they've done there. Let's see here. I got one more. They also got Brooks Raley. We talked about that from the Mets earlier. So they got the reliever that they needed. They got I'm not going to say a good defender. He's been better this year, has Luis Ariza, but he's a table setter. The other part of this equation, Cheese, is who's your leadoff hitter now, Luis Ariza, or is it Kyle Schwarber?
I would keep Schwarber in there.
Think so?
I would keep Schwarber in there. Where would you move Schwarber then? You can't hit him second. He's too slow.
Right, you cannot. You absolutely can't. But with the power that he has, I'd say 4. So probably Stott number 2. So you go Ariza and then Stott and then Harper and then Schwarber.
But then that's 2 lefties back to back, and you want to make sure you get Schwarber and Harper both hitting the first inning. You want to hit them first and third. So I might hit Arias down like 5th, and because he'll be in a good RBI spot. He doesn't strike out much. I like guys that 5th or 6th in the order. Like the Cubs hit Nico Hoerner 6th, and he gets a lot of RBIs because he puts the ball in play with men in scoring position. So like he doesn't hit home runs, but nothing wrong with hitting a guy that's just a real good kind of hitter 5th or 6th. Because sometimes you just need a single. That's what I would do. We'll see. But I am curious to see how they'll do their lineup.
It is going to be. I'm curious about a lot of stuff with the Phillies now because you've got a guy in Harper who was willing to move, even though Dave Dombrowski said earlier in the season that he wasn't the leader, and they got that whole thing. I don't know if you saw the comments from Don Mattingly yesterday, basically saying the same thing. We might talk about this tomorrow if we get a chance. It's an interesting dynamic on this team because Harper basically said that the front office was not doing enough so the team can win. And if you remember from our earlier conversations, Don Mattingly's son is the new GM for them. So when Harper says, hey, the front office isn't doing a lot, then this is now going to be Don Mattingly being the dad taking up for his son, right? So there's
and the Phillies, they're barely in the postseason. Like they got to within 2.5 games of the Braves. They're now 8 back. They have fallen off, and the Braves have been playing really well. So they were in danger of missing the postseason. They had to make some moves if they wanted to make it. And they're not one of those teams that's like, oh well, if we don't make it, it's fine. No, they're all in. They think they're gonna, they want to win the World Series. So I'm not surprised they've been this aggressive.
All right. I want to talk about this team for a moment. They got Jonathan Rodriguez from the Orioles for cash that we talked about this. Camilo Doval they got from the Yankees, and they got Luke Weaver for Sammy Stoffra, something like that. So the Pittsburgh Pirates, Cheese, they got 2 really good relievers, and they got a wild card that's probably not going to help them this year. But I didn't know this till I started looking at the transactions for the Pittsburgh Pirates. They got Robert Hassel III from the Nationals. They're taking a chance on him, too. We talked about him in the Juan Soto trade last week on our show. Are the Pittsburgh Pirates going for it enough? Or do they realize they're far enough out of it that they're just kind of making their fans a little happy and they're crossing their fingers and hoping for the best?
I mean, if you're going for Luke Weaver, you're definitely, do you know much about Sammy Stafura? I had not heard of him, but he looks like he's a pretty darn good minor league player. But
he used to be with the Reds.
Yeah, I remember when he was drafted by the Reds.
Yes, very talented prospect for the Reds. He is in Single A right now in Bradenton, Florida. He's only had 35 at-bats down there for them. Hit 1 home run. There are not a lot of stats on him. I don't know if he's been injured. Let's see. He got promoted from A to high A in the Pittsburgh organization.
So he's listed as the 10th best Mets prospect after the trade.
I've got him on a really nice card behind me on the shelf back there that I got him before he left the Reds organization.
It looks like he's got some power. He's got tools. He can run fast. He's got power. So he's very toolsy. So he's one of those players that has a high ceiling. Yeah.
Yeah, 909 fielding percentage at shortstop.
20 homers, 20 stolen bases. He's a 20-20 guy. So, yeah, very toolsy. I wonder if he can see when they're a shortstop prospect. Half the time they don't stay at shortstop. So so I wonder if will stay there, but you never know.
Yeah, he was drafted by the Reds out of high school in the 2nd round of the 2023 draft. So he bats right, throws right, shortstop, second baseman by trade, and he's only 21 years old. So, yeah, a good young prospect that they traded away to get Luke Weaver. But that kind of tells you that they're giving up a little bit on some of their kids and they're trying to win now, right?
Yeah. I mean, they have a good farm system. Well, it's not as good. A lot of pitchers have graduated, but they had a really good farm system, one of the best in baseball for a couple of years there. So maybe they think they can, trade from their depth. But it said he was traded in the keeper on Hayes deal. Okay. So he was in the he was traded last year at the deadline. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. He sounds like he's got a high ceiling, but kind of a low floor. Like he's toolsy, but he strikes out a lot. Will he put it together in the majors? There's a lot of, you've seen those prospects come through. A lot of homers, a lot of stolen bases, tear up the minors and they get to baseball and they're at 210 and strike out 37% of the time. I'm not saying he will, but it just sounds like he's that kind of boom or bust prospect.
Mm-hmm. So the San Diego Padres and the San Francisco Giants made an interdivision trade as well. Robbie Ray goes to the Padres. So my first question to you, Cheese, the Padres are seemingly going for it. They didn't trade off a lot of the players that they could have, and they acquired Robbie Ray. Is this enough for them to get them into that wild card conversation a little more than they are right now?
The Padres remind me of the Cubs, was it 2 or 3 years ago, where they were going to sell, and then they went on this huge run in July, this hot winning streak to get back in it, and they decided to buy. And then the Cubs decided to buy, and they should have sold. I knew they weren't going to win it. They didn't make the postseason. The Padres, I'm not saying they won't, but if they don't make the postseason, they had some really valuable assets to trade. So, only so many teams can make the postseason. Some of these teams that are buying are going to not make it. If the Arizona Diamondbacks don't make a move, they're probably not going to make it. But so the Padres are kind of stuck. Their lineup has been disappointing. I don't know what to do. I just don't know if they're good enough to go to the World Series. I don't know if they are.
It's kind of been a theme. We've talked about a lot of the returns. So the returns for the Giants, a 17-year-old shortstop And the other guy, that's Hernandez, Yonel Hernandez is what I'm going to say. And then you got Miguel Mendez. He is a young 23-year-old that has been in the system for a little bit with the Padres too. So he's a starting pitcher or right-hander. He's actually on the 40-man roster. So they must think a lot of Mendez, and that was the return that the Giants got for him. I'm not real big on interdivision trades.
There were a lot today. There were a lot.
There were several today, and I was a little surprised at those. So they got
the team that's selling has to not care, because the team buying they'll buy from anyone. They just want to get better. But the team that's selling, the only way you do interdivisional trade, Lars Nootbaar to Diamondbacks. There you go. But before we talk about that, but the team selling has to just not care, or like the Cardinals must have thought the Brewers gave them way more for May and Romero than anyone else. That's when you make them, but I guess they did. But Lars Nootbaar to the Diamondbacks. What do you think?
Interesting. They need an outfield. Talk to me. Is he left or right-handed? Because I can't remember.
I know he's a left fielder. I think you asked me right. I think he's a left fielder. Hang
on, I'll find that real quick.
I think he's a lefty, and he's been disappointing this year, but he's had some good years he's had some better years in the past. He was a 3-win player in 2023. He's been hurt this year, but he is a lefty outfield bat.
Yeah, he's only batting .234, 3 home runs, 16 RBIs because he's been hurt for the majority of the season.
Right.
But here's the thing, right? So let me get his name. Oh, Kepler. I don't need to look it up. Max Kepler has come alive for the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Yes.
He's their big left-handed bat, but there's a problem. And the problem is he was suspended earlier in the year for drug use, right? We'll just leave it at that.
I missed that. I totally missed that.
Yeah, you can look that up. He was suspended earlier in the year for drug use. Or he failed a drug test. I'll put it that way. So when you fail a drug test, you are not eligible for the postseason. So if they make the postseason, they need another left-handed bat in the outfield that can take Max Kepler's spot. And that's what I'm sure that's why they have Lars Nootbaar now, was to do that. So very interesting move, but they needed to do something like that because of that fact.
You mentioned first baseman. It says here they were talking to the Cardinals about Alec Burleson, but he's controllable, I think, for 2 more years. But obviously they couldn't come to an agreement. I'm sure the price was very high for Burleson, especially he's controllable. Yeah, left-handed hitting first baseman with pop. So
I would assume they wouldn't have given up a lot for Nootbaar because of what he is this year. But we'll see. We'll see about the return.
I somehow missed that Kepler thing. I didn't know he was suspended. So
yeah, he was suspended earlier in the year, so he won't be eligible for the postseason.
Well, if real quick, if the Diamondbacks, so they got Nootbaar, if they get like someone like Casey Mize and maybe a bullpen, then you'll be happy. If they just do Nootbaar now, will you be disappointed, or do you think they have to go get pitching? They have 6 minutes. Although some are unannounced till like 30, 40 minutes after. But
Right. Some of them, we'll stay on the air for a little bit longer, guys, because we are, let's take a look here. We are trending really well here on X. We got a lot of people with us right at the moment. I haven't looked back at it. Hope there's no, we got we did it, buddy. Over 300 people right now with us live right here on the Lights Out Sports Podcast. This is our trade deadline special. Even though I spelled special wrong, I am special because I spelled special wrong. I spelled it Spcial. Yes, I just now noticed that. Stop laughing at me over there. I was getting stuff put together here for this, but we're going to do another great show on Thursday, Cheese. We'll talk about that here in a little bit, and we're going to do a great show tomorrow as well. But let's continue to do this here. We're only got a few more teams to go, and we will stick around a little bit after the trade deadline because, as you just said, even though it's 5 minutes or so away, There's always a deal or two that seems to get done after the smoke clears. So we'll see. The Mariners, they got Taylor Ward, and they got Sir Anthony Dominguez and Nolan Jones and Boston Smith for that, and the Luis Castillo deal. Do you think Taylor Ward is enough for the Seattle Mariners to challenge the Astros in the West?
I do not. I mean, Ward's, walk machine, strikeouts are down, but the power's down too. So
yes,
it's definitely not a hitter's ballpark either. They needed a bat, but no, I don't. I don't think they just. It's just so weird how the Mariners and Blue Jays were so good last year, and just this is what baseball is. And the next year, you just half your team is having disappointing years. For whatever reason, but yeah, Cal Riley, and I don't think so. I think the Astros, especially with getting Varsho, I think they're going to take the West.
Okay, I'm with you. I think the same thing. I don't think it's enough. I keep refreshing everything. I'm trying to figure out what the Diamondbacks. They got Lars Nootbaar. Yeah, I got all that, but I'm trying to figure out what they had to give up for him. I can't find it yet. I'll get it, ladies and gentlemen. I'll make sure I get it before we go off the air here. So I'm with you, though. I don't think the Mariners, I don't think that's enough. And I think that when you're a team that says, okay, we're going to go for it. We traded Luis Castillo. We got some financial flexibility, but yet all you got back was Taylor Ward. And as you're making and wheeling and dealing, I think the Mariners are another club who may do something here right at the end. That wouldn't surprise me at all. So we'll keep our eyes and ears out on that. We talked about the Cardinals. They just made the deal, Lars Nootbaar to the Diamondbacks. They also traded Dustin May and Jojo Romero to the Brewers as well. We talked about Tampa Bay and their trade for Liam Hicks. They also got Freddie Peralta. So the Tampa Bay Rays making a couple of moves. The Rangers, a club we haven't talked about, they traded away Josh Smith. And they got Adam Mako, Macko, for him. They also got Logan O'Hoppe from the Angels in a trade. I really think that he will be a good player for them long term here. Of course, the catcher, right-handed throwing catcher.
Real quick, Jacob deGrom apparently invoked his no trade clause.
Yes, he did. We will talk about that tomorrow. Do you know where he was going to be traded to? Atlanta Braves, yes. They had a deal already worked out, and we will talk about that tomorrow.
Interesting.
Do we like players having no trade clauses? Do we like players having 10-5 rights? And Cheese and I will go into that subject tomorrow on the Lights Out Sports Podcast. What time tomorrow, Cheese?
9 Eastern, 6 Pacific. When he signed with the Rangers, the Braves were second. Like, he almost signed with the Braves. The Rangers came back and gave more money, so he was very close to signing with the Braves back then. But I guess he just wanted to stay with the Rangers. People don't want to move, you know. That's what it is. He didn't want to move, probably.
Well, there's family life, there's kids, there's yeah. So it'll be interesting. I thought Logan O'Hoppe was a little bit better than this. He's only batting .209, 17 walks, 16 strikeouts. He's only got 23 RBIs for the season. Only 4 home runs. Okay. Maybe that wasn't as great a trade as I thought it was for the Rangers, but the Toronto Blue Jays.
Breaking news. Sorry. Nathaniel Lowe has been traded to the Cleveland Guardians.
To the Cleveland Guardians. That's interesting.
Cleveland, another bat for Cleveland. And it's, Nathaniel Lowe's got such a low salary, so he's very tradable. You can use that to get a little more prospects for him.
Yes, you can. Huh. Very interesting. Yeah, the Jeff Hoffman
Reds. Good for the Reds. They should. Jeff Hoffman was traded to the Twins.
Yeah.
Twins just, they have traded for like 4 or 5 pitchers. And I thought they were going to be sellers. I really did. But they're going for it.
This is an interesting possibility here. I'm reading. It's not a trade that's happened yet, so let's not go there. But it says the Giants are nearing a deal to acquire Marcel Mayer from the Red Sox. He's an interesting prospect as well. So let's see. There's a couple of different things. So yes, they've got. You're right. Cleveland's got Lowe trying to chase down the Red Sox. Yeah, a lot of the stuff that I'm trying to get what's coming back. So let's see here. Versus left-handed pitching, Lars Nootbaar. Let's look at his numbers here. Versus left-handed pitching, 133, 250, 233. Ouch. Versus right-handed pitching, 258, 354, and 383.
Much better.
Yes, but not great. So, that's interesting.
He
Okay.
has been banged up. He's had better years in the past, so we'll see. We'll see what they gave up. But there are some people, Cubs fans on X, that are not happy that they gave up Jefferson Ross for 2 rentals. But Rojas doesn't walk a lot, and he's hitting in Double-A. He's probably not going to stay at short, and he's pretty much blocked if you're at second or third base. So I don't have a problem with it, but some Cubs fans are. Kirby Yates has been traded to the Pirates. Pirates again going after pitching. Yeah,
I was hoping Kirby Yates would come to the Diamondbacks. I thought that was a really good fit for them. I'd said that earlier. For those of you who,
I guess he's going to close.
Who are Reds fans,
They've had trouble with finding a closer this year.
This might be a reason why the Reds shouldn't, or why the Reds should trade players off.
Breaking news.
This is their September schedule. San Diego for 2 games, then a day off. Milwaukee for 3. All of those are at home. Then they go on the road and they play the Dodgers for 3 with an off day, Milwaukee for 3. Then they come back home and play the Dodgers for 4 and Chicago for 3. Then they go on the road again and play 3 in Atlanta and 3 in Toronto. Holy crap. That's a schedule.
We have a trade. They're just flying in now. Casey Mize has been traded.
Come on.
The Padres.
No!
The San Diego Padres are going for it. They just traded for Casey Mize.
That makes a big difference as far as the Padres go. So
good for the I haven't heard about Jansen, but good for the Tigers. They should be trading every single rental. I just don't understand why some of these teams that are clearly not making the postseason, that just sit tight and don't trade their rentals at least and get better. If you're mediocre or below average, you're not going to get better. One way to get better is get younger, get better prospects. So, and I think you agree with me. I know you do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you're like in the NFL, if you're not a good team, like there's no reason to win your last 5 games and pick 17th when you can pick 7th. You know what I mean? So the higher, the better. Baseball's the trade deadline is different. It's the best day. It's the best trade area of any sport by far. There's no other sport that has a trade deadline like baseball because you have the minor leagues.
Mm-hmm. All right, that's interesting. I'm sure there might be a few more here, so we'll stick with it for a minute. I want to talk about an interesting team that I can't decide what their plan is either, and that's the Toronto Blue Jays. They got Spencer Arrighetti. They got Josh Smith. They also got the really good pitcher Jose Soriano from the Angels. But yet,
that was strange.
Yes,
they're not making the postseason.
Strange.
They're not making it. Like they're way back. I mean, you have to.
Well, Soriano is under control for a few more years. Let's look him up real fast, and I'll.
Right, I know that, but at the same time, like they give up a top 50 prospect, and they're not a good team. A pretty darn good prospect.
Right, Soriano's 27 years old, and he won't be a free agent until 2029. So I get why they get a guy like that.
Yeah.
Now they've got Spencer Arrighetti too, so they really added 2 high upside pitchers. Is that how we want to call it?
Yeah. They
traded away Gossman.
Traded away a pretty darn good bat, top 50 prospect.
Yes, the shortstop.
But the 2 people they got for Gossman are just they're high floor type, probably 4th outfielder / utility infielder types. Like that's what they got. So I guess it's the best they could have gone. But it's funny, the Braves really wanted Soriano. They really need, but most of their pitchers are fly ball pitchers. They wanted to get a ground ball pitcher. He got a really good sinker, and um, so they even called the Blue Jays trying to get him from there. But uh, yeah, I'm just surprised that the Blue Jays, being like 7-8 games under 500, wouldn't just try to sell why they would buy. But yeah, he is controllable, but we probably won't have a season next year. So
Hey, calm down. Then the Washington Nationals. Last team we haven't really talked about and gone through what all they've done. They got Kyle Nicholas. They acquired Tom Cosgrove from the Astros. They traded away Robert Hassel III. And, of course, they traded away Luis Garcia Jr. They got Giovanni Cruz, Jack Siebert, Ben Gramble, and Jake Bird, all from the Yankees in that trade. So they got a pretty good haul from that as well. So, yeah, a little interesting today as we kind of wrap everything up here. Are you seeing anything else that we got going on there?
I'm looking. So I don't know. Like sometimes stuff did come back for 10, 15 minutes after. Dodgers to reacquire Hunter Fiducia from the Rays, backup catcher. That's two catchers that the Dodgers have traded for. Oh, that's right. Will Smith is injured. Padres, Casey Mays, nothing else right now. There still could be a few more trickling in.
Sure. Yeah, we'll give it a few minutes. But, I want to go back to Toronto for a second. Yes, they gave up Gossman. They also, remember, they gave up Hoffman to the Twins, right? So they were one of these teams that bought and sold. And I think that's really tricky to do. It'll be interesting to see if they continue to do that. If I guess it'll be interesting to see what they get moving forward because they did both.
Yeah, there's always one team that buys and sells every year. There's always one, and that was the Blue Jays this year. So, yeah, I can't remember who it was last year, but there was another team that did. I can't remember. Was the Royals last year? I can't remember, but a lot of teams wanted him, and I thought actually that they could. I think that Blue Jays won that trade. It felt like they gave up a top 50 prospect, yeah, but then the other two prospects weren't like highly rated. Maybe the scouts think differently. So I thought they get top 50 and then another player that was like top 10 prospect in the organization, and they didn't even get another top 20 in the Blue Jays organization. So I was a little surprised that they didn't get more for him. I was surprised by that trade overall. It's just such a strange trade for the two teams.
This will be interesting tomorrow when we rank these top 6 teams on each side. There's a lot of teams that got better.
There's some teams that did not get better.
There are.
They had an opportunity. Orioles to
these
hold
middle
Trevor
trades
Rogers.
that we didn't get a chance to talk about. You broke them, but to talk about them is interesting. Foster Griffin to the Guardians is interesting to me. Antonio Senzatella to the Brewers is very interesting to me. Hang on.
The Pirates, another reliever. They got Lake Botcher from the Marlins, who's having a very good season, misses a lot of bats. So the Pirates knew their bullpen stunk. Dennis Santana was supposed to be their closer, and he's not even on the team anymore. They got rid of him. So, yeah, they went out and they have gotten a lot of bullpen help. So the Pirates, even though they wouldn't make the postseason, ended today, they went and fixed their biggest flaw, and that's bullpen. So good for them because they usually don't go out and do stuff like this.
Yeah, so what they gave up to the Rockies, Mark Manfredi is a left-handed reliever. He's in AAA for their club right at the moment. And then they gave up Juan Martinez. He is a guy who can play second, third, and left. And he's 19 years old. So, again, sticking with that trend, it seems like a lot of these young guys are getting traded. And this guy's a speedster.
So do you think – let me ask you this.
Sure.
Do you think that teams are willing to give up like high ceiling but younger prospects, and they don't want to give their double and triple A guys because they can maybe help them like next year. They're willing to, guys that can't help us for 3 or 4 years, willing to give them up even if they're more talented than the double triple A guys.
It does kind of seem that way, and I think a lot of the teams that are giving up players are also in that same kind of boat because it doesn't cost them a lot, right? They know they're controllable for quite a long periods of time. You know, these teams like the Rockies and that are doing this know that those guys are controllable for a while and they won't have to pay them. So I think that's part of it as well.
The problem with that, though, from a seller standpoint, is you got 17, 18, like I can't remember who it was. You got a 17-year-old pitcher. What was that trade? I can't remember now.
There's so many of them right at the moment.
There's so many. But, like, yeah, they might have good stuff. High ceiling might have been a big international bonus money guy, right? Or a high school player just drafted last year. Problem is they have a lot of development left. It's a long way to go. They could get to Double-A and could just be terrible. So it's, when you go out, when you trade for those young guys, and that's a prospect you're getting, you got to know that. I'll give you an example. When the Cubs traded Yu Darvish, they got 4 prospects. They got 4 of like the Padres' top 14 prospects, and Owen Casey, and 3 international guys that were 17, 18, 19 years old. All 3 of those guys flailed out. None of them were worth a crap by the time they got to Double-A. One of them didn't even make it Double-A. Owen Casey's the only thing they got for Yu Darvish, and they traded him right in his prime. So, when you go for those young guys, yeah, they might have high ceiling, but it's a big risk because there's a chance they won't even sniff the major leagues.
Yeah, there's a lot of those guys, and that's what they call them, prospects, right?
Right. So I'm just seeing that the buyers, they're like, well, you'll give you those guys. They're risky, but we're not giving up, our best prospects in Double and Triple A because they could probably help us next year. So I think that was a trend.
Yeah, so that's there's a nice stat here. We'll throw this in. So in the deal with that the Yankees and the Giants have made, the Yankees are going to include Kadem Kent, the son of Hall of Famer Jeff Kent.
Oh,
and
okay.
So that's the second one today, right? Because Mark McGuire's son was traded earlier today.
Yeah, I remember watching his son at Texas A&M. He was playing at Texas A&M last year.
So
who was he traded to? Who was he traded to?
He was traded to the Giants because the thing here that this is from Bob Nightingale. I know you don't particularly care for him. I like Bob Nightingale. Okay. So Kent is now with the Giants, and the Giants drafted Peyton Bonds, which is Barry Bonds' nephew. So now we've got another Kent and Bonds.
Oh, they don't like each other. But they both have ties to the organization. Caden Kent, yeah, I watched him at Texas A&M. I remember. I think they made the finals last year and lost to Oklahoma, or made it pretty far. Okay. But
this is
long-time Giants. Yeah.
Dan El Capitan has tweeted out that there's breaking news. The Dodgers have signed relief pitcher Jesus Christ and are in deep talks with the ghost of Babe Ruth. So, yeah, I thought that was pretty funny.
They're getting Julio Franco. They're signing Julio Franco, he was really cool in Vietnam. He was very good Vietnam veteran. But Braves, remember Julio Franco was like 45 playing for the Braves.
Yeah.
How old do you think he is now? Let's look it up. Julio Franco is
ancient.
He is 67 years old. He's 67, and I watched him play when I was probably in high school. Yeah, I did. Oh, that's crazy. He played for the Braves in 2007. He's 67. So that means he was, oh my God, he was 48 years old. That's crazy.
We will have a little bit of football talk tomorrow.
Yeah.
I don't know. You usually give us the football part of it. I will tell you that we will talk about who Netflix has hired to do the games. There's a few games that they have signed that Netflix will be doing. It'll be interesting. They got Michael Irving over there for the pregame, and I won't give it away yet, but 2 former players that they signed to do everything. By the way, just looking, we follow over 8,000 people on our X account. We greatly appreciate it. And right now, really big accounts are barely above us. So we are right there. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're
big day
fifth.
for us. We talk a lot about baseball. It's big for us.
Yes. We are 5th. We are the 5th largest streaming spot right now on X doing this trade deadline special. And we appreciate it. Just on X, we've got over 250, and altogether on all the platforms that we have right at the moment, over 300. So we appreciate all of you guys being with us. Hang out for just a few more minutes with us. We'll go to about 3:20, 3:30, something like that, just to make sure there's no more deals that will be done.
That's 6:30 Eastern for anyone.
Yes. Sorry, I'm doing Arizona time here.
Yeah. So we'll go for another 15 minutes or so.
Tomorrow, I just want to preview tomorrow's show. We'll be doing, I know that we'll be looking at 5 different topics for tomorrow's show, plus a few football things. We're going to look at a manager that was tossed during a rain delay. We'll talk about that. We'll ask, should you bunt to break up a no-hitter? She said he had some stuff that he wanted to talk about as far as that part goes. I can't wait to talk to him about that tomorrow. I want to talk about the Red Sox, and I want to talk about the run that they have been on. It's a crazy run. Wait till you see some of the stats that I've got on it. And they went to L.A. and just swept the Dodgers in 3 games. Are the Dodgers getting cocky? I want to talk about the Dodgers 1, 2, 3 starters. Who would that be? What about their deferred money and also other teams' deferred monies? We'll look at all of that. And believe it or not, the Dodgers starters, just the 5 starting pitchers, there's more money invested in them than several teams in Major League Baseball put together. So we'll talk about the money situation. And I want to play Dodgers, Devils, advocate tomorrow. Should be interesting. We'll look at the top 6 teams now that the trade deadline is over at that point from both the American League and the National League. That'll be fun to rank those. And then there was a guy today who decided not to be traded to the Atlanta Braves. He invoked his no-trade clause. So we'll talk about it. Do we like no-trade clauses, and do we like players having 10 and 5 rights? We'll explain what both of those things are and talk about them more tomorrow on the Lights Out Sports Podcast. Coming your way. Hit that bell. And what else do they need to do, Cheese?
Subscribe. Hit the bell to our YouTube channels and our X. Mine is Football Cheese, CHEZ. And follow us on X. What is your X again?
At All Gloves Off SM, because we got to shorten it down. That's why Cheese has to shorten his down a little bit too. So, yes. So go to our YouTube, All Gloves Off Sports Media. It's all spelled out. Go to our X, All Gloves Off SM. We also, of course, want to thank our guest from earlier. I took everything off the screen here. If you'll give me a second, I will make sure that I get his name correct. I want to make sure that I do that.
You said no trade clauses, so apparently Kevin Gausman has a no trade clause with the Blue Jays. This is the most random list. The Cubs weren't on it. That's why he was traded. Listen to this list. I don't think I've ever seen a list that's more random than this. The 8 teams he was not allowed to be traded to: Reds, Brewers, Tigers, Mets, A's, White Sox, Pirates, and Mariners. That is the most random 8 teams. There's nothing about those 8 that are the same.
Give me the 8 teams again.
Reds, Brewers, Tigers, Mets, A's. I get A's. I almost played Sacramento. White Sox, Pirates, and Mariners. Why Mariners? Why don't you want to go to play for the Mariners?
I don't know. The Mets and the Mariners, they don't belong in the rest of that group. I mean, I get, the White Sox are good right at the moment, but possibly when he signed the contract 2 or 3 years ago, they weren't. The Reds, I get. The Pirates, I get. But like the Rockies is not included in there. So if you want to say I don't want to go to a bunch of bad teams, I mean,
and if you didn't want to play a big market like New York Mets, well, you didn't put the Yankees.
right?
So yeah, no Rockies. Pitcher did put Rockies in there, but Tigers and Mariners, which are pitching parks. Okay, but anyway, since the Cubs weren't on it, he was able to be traded there. A friend of mine sent that to me. I'm like, okay,
interesting. Well, that's a good friend, buddy. I like that list. That's an interesting thing. Of course, the far end of the bench, we had Jimmy Pilato on earlier. You can catch them on, I believe, Thursday. They are the newest part to All Gloves Off Sports Media. We much appreciate him being on today.
I'm going to get you to pick 8 teams to your no trade list. We're going to get Mike to pick his no trade list. You get 8 teams. That's what we should do tomorrow. We're going to do it tomorrow.
I like that idea. Let me write that down.
Mike has to pick 8 teams he can't be traded to. And you can either be on the Diamondbacks or Reds. You can play. You can pick which team you're on.
I got to write that down because I'll never remember. So 8 teams I can't be traded to.
8 teams you can't be traded to if you had to pick. So that's So you're Kevin Gossman, but you're on you can either be on the Reds or Diamondbacks. Those are your favorite teams. And then
so I'm a pitcher because it's a difference.
Yes, you're a pitcher. You are a pitcher. Yeah, good point. You are a pitcher, and that's important.
Wow, I have to do my research tonight now. Okay.
And, I'll come up with a couple NFL topics because training camp's going on now as well.
Yeah, pads are on, right?
Yes.
And you know what? I just got something else. I see it on a couple of spots here. I'm looking at a bunch of different things. I'm going to write this down too. We're going to come up with let's do 3. The top 3 players that were not traded at the trade deadline.
The one there's another Angel pitcher that I thought for sure would be traded.
Yeah, Reed Detmers, right?
Yeah. I have a Reds trade, 2 and outs.
Go ahead.
They traded Caleb Ferguson to the Cardinals, exchange for $250,000 of international bonus money. The Reds have gained $250,000 international bonus money for Caleb Ferguson. Tell me about Caleb Ferguson. I do not know him much.
Reliever.
He was on the Mariners last year, it says here. Leave it to my friends to call me while I'm still doing the podcast, and he's messaged me about the podcast.
Yeah, why don't you guys put comments? I don't understand why you won't do it that way. Anyway, so Caleb Ferguson, age 30, born in Columbus, Ohio, originally drafted by the Los Angeles Dodgers, by the way. This season, I hate it when we go to these spots and then the videos pop up. It just annoys the snot out of me.
Caleb Ferguson.
4.01 ERA in 26 games. He's pitched 24 2/3 innings where he's given up 26 hits, 11 runs, 3 home runs. He's walked 11 and struck out 22.
11's not. That's a lot of walks for 24 innings.
Yes.
But what I don't know what the Cardinals are thinking because they're obviously selling. Why give up? Why just get? This is great for the Reds. Here, he's a free agent of the year. Here's $250,000 international bonus money. I don't understand. Maybe the Cardinals didn't use up their whole bonus. That's a strange trade.
It is, especially one that comes in like right at the deadline. Very interesting. Yeah, I keep kind of refreshing stuff here, making sure we're getting everything because we don't want to leave anything on the table here.
Yeah, I'm getting a lot of texts from people, but they're not putting comments.
Comment, people. Comment.
People like prefer to just text. I don't know what it is. Like
it's only your friends, sir.
We're millennials. We're just this is. I don't even like texting actually.
So you're one of the guys who would rather call somebody than text them?
Well, I mean, no, I'd rather. I mean, little things just text there, but even just like sometimes like long texting, like it can get, really.
I know. So I'm the guy that doesn't mind to text, But when I'm texting, the punctuation has to be right. I'm not one of those guys that just does run-on sentences and all this kind of stuff just to hurry up and text something. The commas have to be in there, the periods. If I'm really on to something, it's an exclamation point at the end and all of that.
Yeah, anyone watching, like, listen to the comments. Do you like what your team did? Tell us your team. I wish the Braves had gotten a number 2 starter. Obviously they tried to trade for. Oh my God, I just lost it.
The Rangers guy.
They were in on Jose Soriano, and he was traded to the Blue Jays. Those were the 2 targets. Was Soriano and, oh my God, longtime Met. I can't think of his name.
Yeah, hang on. We're both having brain farts here. It's the end of the show. We've been on here for a while. Both of them would be
like their number 2 starter in the postseason. That's what they need. They have Chris Sale, and it's a shame that they weren't able to get a starter. But unless something comes through, I still can't think of the name.
Yeah, I'm working on it.
I don't know why. Jacob deGrom, of course.
Okay,
God,
of course. Yes, there we go.
Yeah.
Now, did somebody text you that?
What?
Did somebody text you that answer?
No, it just came to me.
Okay.
No. I was just trying to think of his name. Long time Met, but he almost signed with the Braves. In fact, the rumor is he was going to, and then the Rangers came back and said, "Here's $185 million." And he's like, well, "Okay, well, I can't turn that down," But, yeah, we'll talk about the Dodgers as well. And you said you're going to play Dodgers Devil's Advocate.
Yeah, because I really think that there's a lot of people who are giving the Dodgers crap because they went out and got Derek Skubal. Well, not to give too much of it away, but, they're trying to win too. There is nothing that says that they should not win. I know that, myself included, I don't like it when they basically buy a team. The Yankees did it for years, and I can't stand the Yankees. And now the Dodgers are doing it. But I also want to play devil's advocate and say, hey, there's nothing wrong with what they're doing.
Well, I'll give the fan perspective tomorrow, because I'll give that perspective.
All right, I like it. So we can be offense and defense tomorrow, or we can,
It's one of those things where they've become, like you said, the Yankees. The Yankees were the most hated team for years. Mm-hmm. The Derek Jeter, Bernie Williams teams, all those, and then and now it's the Dodgers, and that's what's it's becoming. And we'll talk about that tomorrow.
But I will say this, right? And I'm going to write it down because I want to make this point tomorrow too. I'm writing all kinds of stuff down. You need a good villain.
You need Darth Vader.
Yes.
They're one of the best villains in movie history. You need a good villain. You need a Thanos. Yes.
So whatever team makes it from the other league, right? Everybody will be on that bandwagon, like the Blue Jays last year and all of that, right? We will clamor. We will cross our fingers. We will pray to God that someone can beat the Dodgers, the hated Dodgers, because they come in and just buy up everything.
Well, so here's the thing with the Dodgers, separate from what you were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
They have more left-hand pitching than anyone. And the Cubs and Braves, especially the Braves, really struggle with left-hand pitching. I don't know what the Brewers are. I'd have to look it up. But, here it is. Okay. No, actually, the Cubs do hit left-handed pitching pretty well. Looks like the Brewers and the Braves hold on, let me go back. They just had a stat. Let me go back. You can go back live TV. You can pause it. Okay. The Phillies, 25th against lefties. Pause. Braves, 14th against lefties. Brewers, 16th. Cubs, 2nd as far as average. So Cubs are the only team of those top 5 teams that are even in the top 13 against left-hand pitching. So I think they looked and said, these teams hit righties better than lefties. That's really interesting.
Wow.
The Braves better hope they don't have a long series against Dodgers, because, they struggle against lefties.
So we said earlier how not great Lars Nootbaar's stats are. So I'm starting to, I've got some Diamondback connections here. I'm starting to get some stuff back. They traded right-hander Daniel Egan, Eagen,
Sure.
and left-hander Sando Santana, who is a Double-A guy. And those are two of the three players that are headed back to St. Louis in this deal. And Egnan is the 13th ranked prospect in Arizona's farm system. They gave up the 13th ranked prospect and two other prospects, and all they got back was Lars Nootbaar. I might end up hating this deal before it's all said and done.
I mean, it's better than your 13th is better than 9th or 6th or 7th, you know. I mean,
Well, I appreciate the mathematical education, sir.
the Cubs gave up their 13th best prospect in the trade for Gosman, but they got Gosman. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Lars Nootbaar and Gosman are not even comparable, sir, and we both know this.
Yeah. I'm trying to see. Oh, no. Pirates placed Mitch Keller on 60-day injured list.
All right, so
Reds to acquire Juan Brito from the Guardians.
There you go. I was getting ready to say the same thing. He was DFA just a couple of days ago by them.
This isn't a big trade, is it? This isn't something. Okay. No, okay. I was like, I don't know who that is.
There's a reason for that.
Yeah. The only really strange one at the last minute was the Reds getting $250,000 international bonus money for a reliever that's free agent of the year. That's average, maybe league average type reliever. Caleb Ferguson. That makes no sense to me, but good for the Reds. Yeah.
Yes.
And they got traded Nathaniel Lowe. I'm a little surprised Kenley Jansen wasn't moved. I mean, there's some. We'll talk about that tomorrow. Who we were surprised it was not moved.
Yeah, there are some surprises for me that were not moved whatsoever. And again, we'll talk about that tomorrow. So we're going to be doing two more shows this week, ladies and gentlemen. So you've got tomorrow's regular show. And you've also got Thursday's show. Cheese, what time does the game start Thursday? Let's tell everybody what time we're going to start on Thursday.
So it says 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. But you know how you got to make sure, because sometimes it'll tell you when the pregame starts. But I think it is. I think it starts. Let me make sure. It says 8 Eastern, 5 Arizona time. On Thursday, August 6th, Carolina Panthers, Arizona Cardinals. And is Larry Fitzgerald getting the Hall of Fame, correct?
Yes.
That's very cool. He was pretty darn good. So, yeah, we'll probably, what do you say, about 10, 15 minutes before we'll go live?
Probably somewhere in that neighborhood. I mean, there's not really a, we're not going to go live an hour beforehand because we're going to be,
yeah, definitely not. So let's plan on, but yeah, maybe 10 minutes before we'll go live. So that's 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific, 7 Central, 6 Mountain Time this Thursday. And tomorrow, of course, 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific.
All right. Interesting how there's some stuff trickling in, but I'm not gonna read it too much because I'm not sure how credible some of these sources are that I'm getting here. But so the Twins also, we didn't talk about them on their last trade. They got Luis Varland from the Blue Jays as well.
Wow. Red Sox gave up on Marcelo Mayer.
Yes.
Former top 5 pick, traded him to Giants for a lefty reliever. That's not. I mean, it's pretty good lefty reliever. He is, but still, that's one of those trades where it's like, the Giants are betting on Mayer's upside, and the Red Sox took what they could get, I guess. Wow. What were you saying?
I don't know.
Okay. I'm just surprised.
I've got so much information around it. I was just saying because there are some conflicting reports on what some of the returns are for some of these guys here towards the end, but they're not necessarily credible sources. So I'm not sure. I was not going to read it on the air because I wasn't sure if it was good or not. So
Marcelo Mayer, I remember when he was drafted, he was 4th overall pick in 2021. He was rumored to be the top pick for a while leading up to draft. Then like the few days before, then it was like, oh no, they're going to I don't remember who it was, but he was at one point thought to be best player in the draft, and yeah, he's hit like 220 in his career, so he has been traded to the Giants. Giants taking a chance that he'll hit it, interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting, actually.
Red Sox made some moves.
All right, buddy. I'm going to hit one more spot here, refresh it, and make sure. Yeah, they traded Eric Miller, by the way, was the reliever that they got back in that Mayer trade from the Red Sox.
It just sounds like the Red Sox got better this year, but who will see long term if Mayer can figure it out, then that could be a big for the Giants. I think Giants fans would be very happy with that.
Yeah, so let's see. A couple of minor things here. The Phillies got Colby Thomas for Seth Johnson in a trade with the A's.
I have no idea who they are.
Yeah. Another interesting move here. The Pittsburgh Pirates, they placed Mitch Keller on the 60-day DL. So in other words, they cleared a spot from one of the people that they traded for today. He pitched terrible against the Reds yesterday. The Reds beat him into the ground yesterday. So Juan Brito was the guy that the Indians designated for assignment when they made the Joe Adele trade, and then that's who the Reds have gotten for Nathaniel Lowe.
Bring back the name Indians.
Did I say Indians instead of Guardians? Did I?
Good for you. No, it's good. I like that because that's the name. That's our group, Chief Wahoo. That logo was so cool.
Yeah, myself and Jimmy Pilato earlier from far end of the bench. We had him on in the very beginning of the show. We were talking about Cleveland and how they should have kept the Spiders, how they should have went back to the Spiders instead of going to the Guardians. I would have been much happier with that. So
that's a way cooler name than Guardians. Spiders.
So?
Yeah, you can wear Spider-Man outfits. By the way, I saw Spider-Man. It was very good.
I was going to ask you about it tomorrow, but
we'll talk about it tomorrow.
Oh yeah. So this was Wolfie, maybe. We did talk about this move, but that's okay. Caleb Ferguson in the trade. They got $250,000 worth of international bonus money. Yes.
Good for the Reds because he's a rental. The only thing I can think of is the Cardinals haven't used all of their international bonus money, and that he's replacing JoJo Romero just in case they, even though they trade May and Nootbaar, maybe we just need another lefty reliever here. Have the money. I don't know. It just doesn't make much sense. But good for the Reds to get them, because Caleb Ferguson, like I said, he's free agent end of the year.
So I want to look at the wild card standings in each league real quick, and then we're gonna kind of bid everybody adieu here. So right now, if the season ended today at the end of the trade deadline, Tampa Bay, Chicago White Sox, Houston Astros, they would be the 3 division winners.
Okay.
The 3 wild card winners in the AL are the Yankees, the Red Sox, and the Guardians. Next is the Twins. They're only a game out, by the way, of the last wild card spot.
Okay.
The Rangers, who sold off some players today, are a game and a half out. So I would think that kind of means they're waving the white flag, right?
They could have traded more though, but possible.
Okay.
I mean, they've lost 5 straight. They're not playing well at all.
Correct. The Mariners are next. They're 2 games out. They did a little bit of both. Then Baltimore's 2.5 and Detroit's 2.5. So I would think now in the American League, you've only got Minnesota, Texas, and Seattle that are competing for that final spot, because I don't think anybody's going to get the Yankees. On the way Boston's playing, I don't think anybody is going to get Boston. The stat that I'm probably going to go to, Minnesota is a negative 29 run differential. The Rangers are a negative 36, but yet the Mariners are a plus 3. You and I picked the Mariners to win that division. Do you think they can come back and get this wild card spot, or do you think that either Cleveland or Minnesota will take it from them?
They can. I don't think they are going to. No, I don't. I don't. I think with Cleveland's moves, I think they're probably going to get it. We'll talk about that tomorrow. We'll pick our top 6 teams, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Something not just that Seattle team just is not gelled this year at all. I mean, just Taylor Ward, okay, that's okay, but they needed a bigger bat than that. And the run differential for Detroit is insane. It doesn't make any sense.
Yes, you're right. I saw it. I didn't say anything, but I saw it. So let's go to the National League for a moment as we kind of wrap everything up. We'll talk about this. We'll review the 2 shows we're going to be doing later on this week, and then we'll bid you guys adieu here in the next 5 minutes or so. Milwaukee Brewers, Los Angeles Dodgers, and Atlanta Braves would be the 3 division winners right at the moment. The 3 wild card winners in the National League would be the Cubs, the Diamondbacks, and the Phillies. Interesting there. The Diamondbacks really didn't do a whole lot. The Phillies did. Your next teams, the Padres are only a game out. They're, by the way, 8-2 in their last 10. The Phillies are 3-7. Just looking at some of the records here. The Miami Marlins were next, but they sold off a couple pieces today, so I think they're kind of waving the white flag. The Pittsburgh Pirates added, even though they're 3.5 out, so they're still thinking maybe they're in the race. The Cardinals are 4. They definitely waved the white flag with everybody that they traded. The Nationals traded away, Luis Garcia Jr., right? So I think they're kind of waving the white flag, and they also traded Foster Griffin away. And then you've got the Reds at 5.5, and they really didn't make any moves. So they're kind of saying maybe we can still get into it. So you've got the Padres, the Pirates, and maybe it's just the fandom guy in me, but I'll throw the Reds in there. Any of those teams, Cheese, really stick out to you and say, yeah, they've got a chance to jump up there and grab that last spot?
I think Pittsburgh's got a shot with all the pitching moves they made. They really improved the bullpen. So clearly, yeah, Miami's going to drop off, obviously. It'll be interesting to see if the Padres keep it up. But one thing about the National League that I noticed, I don't think the Reds, I don't. But one thing I noticed, I think all those divisions are done in the National League. I think they've all won. I don't think there's any way Phillies are catching the Braves, Cubs are catching the Brewers, Diamondbacks, Padres catching the Dodgers. It's not going to happen. I think we already know who the division winners are in the National League, and that's crazy. In the American League, they're still way all up for grabs. So they're just all huge leads.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how the rest of the Major League Baseball season unfolds as well. I do want to do this. I usually don't do a whole lot of this kind of stuff, but I think it's a great thing that you can do right at the moment. Let me make sure it's still available, and it is. So right now, you can go to MLB.tv. They have their trade deadline sale on right now. You can get all of the out-of-market teams for the rest of the season for only $34.99. If you haven't already done so, $34.99 is not a bad deal. And I'll be honest, I thought about maybe doing it as well. But I'm really liking the radio calls on XM Satellite, by the way. So I love baseball on the radio, and it's much cheaper. So I think I may just stick with my route and do it that way. But we'll see. We'll see. All right, Chief, I want you to preview what are we doing on Thursday, buddy, and then I'll talk about tomorrow, and then we will, unless another trade comes down or something like that, we will pretty much say sayonara, and I'm going to go have some tacos, man.
Tacos.
Mm-hmm.
I got some chicken for tonight. So I know you're shocked.
Yes.
Thursday night.
Shocked.
It's the Hall of Fame game, first football game of the year, even though it's preseason. Everyone's excited about it. So we're going to do a watch along. 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific, probably about 10 minutes before we'll go live. And we'll just talk a lot of football. We'll talk a lot about the season coming up, and probably Larry Fitzgerald. We'll talk about him. And yeah, it'll be a lot of fun.
I'll even give you this real quick. It's going to, I think it'll cover up a little bit of Cheese's face, but here, okay. I'll show you.
This is what gets the viewership.
Look at that there. Oh, yeah, that's nice.
Cool.
Yes, sir. That'll be what we will be doing tomorrow, or excuse me, on Thursday. And then tomorrow, We're going to do some baseball related stuff. We're going to do some football things that Cheese will come up with. Some of the baseball stuff. We'll talk about the manager who was thrown out during a rain delay. We'll look at should you bunt when there's a no-hitter going on. We'll talk about the Red Sox and the Dodgers, the top 6 teams in each league, and we'll talk about the no trade clause and the 10-5 rights, how that came into play at the trade deadline today. And then Cheese has given me an interesting exercise that I will do for tomorrow's show. I'm going to act as though I am Kevin Gossman and I am a pitcher. And there are 8 teams that I want to put on my no trade clause, and I get to pick any 8 teams. I'll come up with those, and we'll do a lot more tomorrow on the Lights Out Sports Podcast. Cheese, tell them what time, buddy.
The podcast tomorrow is 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific.
All right, sounds good. Anything you want to add to the end of the show, Cheese?
No.
No, he's like,
can't wait for chicken. I just can't wait.
Oh, I know it, man. Tacos sound really good. I can smell it from the kitchen. So can't wait to get out of here and get myself some tacos. But I'm certainly glad all of you were with us. We had a great time tonight. Once again, we want to thank Jimmy, our great guest from Far End of the Bench podcast. You can catch him on their YouTube. You can also catch their podcast on our YouTube, which is All Gloves Off Sports Media. You can catch us on X at All Gloves Off SM. Cheese is YouTube is Football with Cheese, and then the X is just Football Cheese, and cheese is spelled just how you see it on the screen, CHEEZ. Cheese, thank you very much, buddy. I'll see you again tomorrow, and I'm sure we'll see a lot of these fans tomorrow as well.
Yep.
But until then, as we say at the end of every broadcast, the only thing that's fair in life is a baseball hit between the third and first base lines. Good evening, everyone. We appreciate you coming out.